Okay, but again, it is obviously a non-story, and in terms of the level to be able to smear people, like this, you have links to terrorist organisations. It's a much greater smear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Than you once 10 years ago said to a woman who asked for hypnotherapy to increase their breast size that was something that you're happy to do if you want to pay for it.
Yeah.
Oh, are we done? Okay.
Also, before we move on, sorry. Just want to say thank you, Adrina Websdale for the £5, Graham Turner for the £4, Vale for me for the 2 gifted, and Popey for the $9.99 as the birthday wishes. I very much appreciate you. Much love.
Anyway, so as always, thank you very much for watching, and of course, let me know what you think about this.
Did you learn anything?
Oh, he's done. It's over.
It's over. It's literally done.
It's done. It's finished.
Kev, are you continuing from here, by the way?
I think I'm basically done.
Me too. Was there someone who took a nap because I was tired earlier? I am now still very tired.
I just wanted before, because I know I've told MJ about this, and I mentioned it in Kev's chat a little while ago, but Kaz hasn't had it, right? So Ball Hat Man had a convo with Helena fucking ages ago, before the last election, and I went back through it whatever the 4th month of the year is, April. There we go. I went back through it in April and spoke to Helena about it then. But I feel like it's worth bringing up every now and again, the predictions that he made in that conversation. I think they're really interesting. So before the election, he predicted the Labour will change position and impose a wealth tax. The Green Party will never have more than 1 MP. The Labour Party manifesto will be much more progressive than the comms they were putting out at the time. Left-wing people are not being and will not be expelled from the Labour Party.
And just before you carry on, and all of these things happened, yeah?
I'll let you find that.
See. Well, you know.
Okay, wait to the end.
One last one. We will be very surprised by how progressive the Parliament is. These were all his predictions for the G. So I don't know why the fuck anybody's listening to this guy anyway. Whenever he says something, like when he was laughing about the launch of the Your Party earlier, I'm sort of sitting here thinking, well, he's got everything else wrong to an impressive degree. In fact, everything.
It's so wrong as well.
It's
I think the only thing that he got right there was that Rachel Reeves tweaked the fiscal rules. Although he said I think he said that she would get rid of them. But the tweak was changing what they measured national debt by, even though the actual basis of the rules didn't change, and the rules were kind of carried over from John McDonnell anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's quite a small thing. Unless you're willing to ditch the fiscal rules, I think predicting that it would slightly change isn't. Yeah. Especially when you have such poor predictions on everything else. So I guess him trashing on this Your Party thing, that's probably a good thing for the left because he's so fucking wrong.
Probably a good sign.
Probably a good sign. But do you not think if you look, I try not to make political predictions because it's hard. But if you're that wrong about so many things, would you not have some sort of introspection and think, fuck me, I was so wrong about this?
Well, there's clearly some kind of foundation to your worldview that is crooked, right? Because you're clearly reasoning out from a particular position. I don't think so. I think he's just a fucking a Labour Party shill, right?
Yeah.
It's some causality, right? He was arguing against all of this stuff at the time. Obviously, we had these kind of discussions about the reality of what happened with the Labour government and about how you can fight inside the party to try and affect change. And none of these things have come to pass, of course. But if you've spent, as I'm assuming he has done, quite a long time, at the very least, it's the last 5 years, fighting for a Labour government, fighting within Labour to make it progressive and fighting against conservatism, that you'd have to, unless you're just going to think, well, I've actually just wasted the last 5 years on nothing, to get nothing, to do nothing at all, right?
Well, you've lost.
Then if you don't admit that, if you have to admit that, then you have to, if you don't admit that, then you can at least continue in the idea that what you're doing is worth your while. But as soon as you admit that things aren't good now, you have to admit to yourself you've wasted half a fucking decade.
But it's a cult of party, it's not cult personality, but it's a cult of party, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not just that, but it's the same sort of social thing. Like, I mean, without getting too into it about Viv and cults and all of that sort of thing, there's a lot of social pressure in the fact that basically not all, but a lot of his friends group, especially online, are Labour Party people. So it would be a huge upheaval in his life, I think, to completely ditch that. So there's like that kind of social pressure on him as well.
I've done this. I've been. So there, not just me. There's so many left-wing people in Labour who eventually just went, okay, I guess we've lost the fight here. You know, we've tried so long and so hard to fight to keep this a progressive party and to try and push it left, and we've lost. We've lost that fight. And you know, Starmer told them to fuck off. They left. The rest is history, right? But I did the same thing with Twitch. You saw me on panels and stuff, Kev, when I'm talking about, you know, I don't think the way we're platforming Nazis and shit on Twitch is a good fucking idea, you know. And I got to a certain point and I was just like, I've lost this fight. The floodgates are open. There's nothing I can fucking do about it. It's now an incredibly reactionary space. You know,
and now Jubilee are literally doing videos with the guy who goes and says, yeah, I'm fascist, round of applause. Like, what we doing?
But, you know, at some point you've just got to go, fuck, you can't fight against the flood when you don't have enough people with you, right, to fight it. You have to go and do something else, right? Try and do some good stuff out. And to me, that doesn't mean that I wasted all that time on Twitch, because I learned a lot. I stayed true to myself and my morals and stuff, you know.
Rejoice, comrades. Scabby Cheeks is in. I'll be here for at least 3 hours. There's a lot that I need to go over today. You alright? Remember, you don't need to stay up for me if you don't want to. But if you can't zonk out, stuff that I'll be talking about will be mind-numbing anyway, so you might just pass out while I'm streaming. Kev's still going, and I'm waiting until he's finished. Hi. Have you been today? Oh god, he's showing again.
Providing your analysis when actually a lot of the analysis isn't based on evidence or facts, but it's based on your personal affliction to a political party that, like,
do not stay for the entire stream then.
Your own policies apparently.
If you have to get up in 6 fucking hours.
But you're misleading other people, so if you want to do it in quiet and go to Labour Party meetings and still try something that's not going to work, fine, but I just think it's so dishonest to them. Like attack other people, and maybe go as far as saying gaslighting other people by saying, no, this is a dead horse, we need something new. You're wasting your energy there as well, making enemies.
I think the big difference is ego, right?
Yeah.
Like, not in the sense that he has ego and I don't have ego. I have an enormous fucking ego, okay? But the potential for damage to ego based on the things that you're doing and saying. So like,
good boy.
When I'm talking about Twitch getting more reactionary, or talking about when I was blowing the alarm on like QAnon and stuff really early on, or when I was predicting that like there'd be violence during the interregnum, then J6 happened. Like, the predictions I made came true because I'm like looking at reality and making tentative predictions about what I think is going to happen in the future. Whereas, like, he seems to be trying to make reality and then predicting what it's going to be if reality was his ideal, you know? And so there's that, like, my ego doesn't get damaged, it gets fucking inflated, because even though I try and warn everybody and nobody does fucking anything to stop the cult expanding or the violence happening or Twitch becoming more reactionary or whatever, I'm still right at the end of the day. It fucking happened. I just couldn't do anything to stop it. And that's sad, that's upsetting, that's depressing. But it's not the same as like losing the fight completely and then just like pretending that you've won it over and over and over and over again. That's got to be ego destroying, you know?
Well, yes, you'd have to take a lot of ego death to admit that you'd spent 4 and 5 years campaigning for a political party who wants to fucking cull the disabled, you know?
Yeah.
Literally.
Anyway, I'm gonna jet off. I think.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. I'm sorry for crashing your party at the end.
No,
it's
it's always good. It's always good to see you. Everyone go and follow KF Local 1875 over on Twitch, and go and follow at Turn Left over on YouTube, and at Ploppy111, which is Kev over on YouTube.
And Mix Vivian Wolf on the platforms where she exists.
Yeah. Twitter. Basically, that's basically it at the moment.
Fair enough, yeah.
Mix Vivian Wolf on Twitter.
Are you both streaming tomorrow?
Yes.
I will do yes.
Yeah. Because we're not doing a show tomorrow because we're going to do the debate. So we could, if you're up for maybe jump on again.
Things were happening. Things were happening. Kilo? Kilo? As in the measurement of weight, or is that wordplay? Rejoice! Kilo 2022. Hello, I am Madcat79 Scotty I, a Scottish disabled Marxist streamer. I try to concentrate on disability health issues. Was it alright?
Alright.
Oh, fucking numpty. Oops. Still had my volume on. Aha! I am in the chat now. If it would show up. Oi! Show up! Yes. Glasgow based. But I'm from Perth. I live here in Glasgow. And I've been streaming for over a year now. And I am absolutely fucking bricking it over the new legislation coming through. You're from Romania? Hello, Romania. So you're ahead of me. I'll take a punt. You 2 hours? 3 hours? 3 AM? 4 AM? Ah, I have the chat. I will wait for more, but 2:25. Oh, you're 2 hours ahead. I keep on meaning to get myself the time zone map. I have currently got just the standard geopolitical map. It's sitting right there on the windowsill. We've just been moved back in. This flat that we actually live in had really bad damp and fungus and stuff like that, and dodgy floorboards, and the kitchen and bathroom were fucked essentially. So we got moved out and put into a high rise. On the 2nd of December, we had 3 hours to fucking move. Stupid housing. So I'm just back in. So I'm going to get myself stencils. You might see either healing coups or quite possibly dragons. I'm obsessed with healing coups according to my husband. Yeah. I will wait to see if either Kev or Helena raid me. We're going to watch this debate from Helena, from No Justice MTG, debate Bowler Hatman, who is another... He is not a streamer, he is a YouTuber. So he makes videos and publishes them on YouTube. To the EDF. Rejoice, comrades, John the Brazen is here. Hi, John. Since Viv brought it up, let us go over that debate they had last year. Seriously, I can't believe it's over a fucking year. And see how incorrect Bowler Hatman was. I'll go onto the channel later and say I've got Helena's fine with me using any of hers, but let's see where he went wrong, shall we? Thanks, Viv, for bringing that back into my mind. It's always good to cover what other content creators have said. especially if they're stammer-pilled. Oh, damn, who brought it up? Was it you, John? Or was it someone else? Maybe was it Vicky or someone? I can't remember how A Different Bias is going. My God. And Graham... Oh, fucking hell. Femi's okay. I'm fine with Femi. But Graham... Twat. Oh... I bet you are. Plus someone else said in chat, false advertising. No bowler hat. Viv brought this debate up. Good Elron. Rejoice, comrades. Elron Hubbard is here. Hi, Elron. Mix Vivian Wolf brought up this debate from last year. So I thought, let's cover it to see where Bowler Hat Man has went wrong. Shall we? Ooh! Rejoice, comrades. Based anarchist Australian Story Girl is here. Hi, darling. I don't know if you know of Bowler Hat Man. You obviously know about Helena, No Justice MTG. Ah, was it brought up by Kev? It's all kind of blended into it because 3 people basically for most of the stream, then Viv dumping in. So I'm struggling to separate everything out into who said it and chat as well. So that's 5 different things at one point, plus what was going on in here, which is quite a lot and usually quite random. First of all, I apologise for exposing you all to Bowler Hat Man. He is not like me. Helena's kind of like me, but I'm Scottish. Helena's English. Again, nothing wrong with that. Based English individuals here. Hello. Great amount of respect for you all. Right, let's get this over with, shall we? Play, goddamn you. Thank you.
Do that. If we are to actually achieve any of that, you can do none of that.
Oh.
I think the main disagreement that I have with lots of people on the YouTube sphere with regards to electoral politics on like the left-hand side of things is that I'm not voting for the Labour Party. I've left the Labour Party. I have no interest in supporting the Labour Party in its current form, right? And
Right.
I literally put out a segment on when I was on Novara Media yesterday, getting a lot of pushback, my opinions on electoral calculus or utilitarian calculus around electoralism. And I think that's where my disagreements come with a lot of people on the current direction of the Labour Party. And I'm assuming you have disagreements with that.
Well, yeah, probably. Definitely. My whole thing is, look, if you look at a graph of voting intentions,
He doesn't, does he?
you can look up, there's a couple out there, and basically says, what are you? Are you on the left? Are you on the right? Or are you, I know we're on the internet, so, you know, it's a bit of a meme, are you a centrist? But we are in the UK, and we've got to face facts that there are a lot of people who, when they say, what are you? Are you left, right? They would say, I am neither, I am a centrist. And it is 25% on the right, 25% on the left, and in the middle, you've got a massive 30%. To win any general election in the UK, you have to have at least 15 to 20% of that centrist vote. You cannot escape that reality. Like it or not, that is just the reality of the UK voting populace. That is how it is.
Rejoice, comrades. It's the Morton is here. Hi, Morton. This debate Mix Vivian Wolf brought it up on Kev's chat. There was a Google Hangout. Kev, Helena, Curtis from Turn Left, and Mix Vivian Wolf. It was delightful, and she brought up this debate and listed off where he went wrong. Because he's a fucking idiot. Depends where and who you ask. Well, you can think of Ron. Reopen nominations, please, for a lot of this, especially in certain age demographics across the land. It's a little bit different up here. We've always voted as much as we can for who we see as the most progressive, as close to the left as we can possibly get, without going and voting for like socialist or communist of any description. Like last year in this constituency, an actual communist ran. He didn't get his deposit back. Sorry, my dude. So he would have been operating on the not Workers' Party, Communist Party of the UK. I think it was that. They're not courting that vote, Oliver. They're going for the boomer vote and the elder Gen Xers, so people older than me. I was born in 79, hence the number in my name. They're basically courting to the people who are property owning and collect their pension and probably are landlords of some description, and they're getting funded by corporate bankers. So that's who they're going for. They're forgetting everyone younger than fucking my age, essentially. Anyone under the age of 40, they are literally not listening to us. Well, I'm older than 40. So I'm 46. And that's going to be changing, actually, pinning all your electoral hopes on the boomer cohort, because they're old, they won't survive, and all the younger people in the country, we're growing in, well, older Gen Xers, some of them are only 6 years away from their pension. I'm 22 years away from my state pension. So, better not fucking touch the pension age, by the way. Liz Kendall, listen to me. I fear for my nieces and nephews. They're all younger. But in saying that, now that they're going to be giving the votes to 16 and 17-year-olds, they'll be able to vote in 2029. Kendall is... Rejoice, comrades. Linton is here. Hi, Linton. She made it very clear fucking years ago what she wanted to do, and with the benefits debate fucking a couple of weeks ago, a month or something like that. Was it the start of the month, or was it late June? No, it was this month, a few weeks ago. Yeah, that was a fucking shit show, wasn't it? She wanted to do that. Basically punish the English and Welsh version of me. Luckily, I'm protected up here in Scotland. My adult disability payment is so much better, and I get treated like a human. Yay! Shirley Ann Somerville's basically the benefits person at Holyrood, SNP. You put her at a bit of a quandary there, Elron, and she can decide to be a human about this, or she can decide to follow the party line. So, if she supports her constituents, there's every possibility that they'll boot her, which will be delightfully insane of them to do. A lot of people can't, because it's a word that doesn't really sit well in English. Quite a lot of words don't sit well in English. Funny that. You borrow from different fucking writing systems and the language makes no fucking sense. I feel for the Germans. The root of English, it's mostly from Germanic tribes like Norse and Germany and all those people from hundreds of years ago. Plus, we picked and chose from all over the world when we had our empire. I've always said this: English is garbage, and I envy no one teaching it to people as a second language. My sister used to do it, and she said, "Fuck this." Trying to teach people how to write and read in English. Thankless job, really. And I feel for the people learning it because, again, English is garbage. Sorry. The Romance languages make more sense, and we've fucking nicked parts of them as well, including Romanian. Boom.
You've got to attract centrists. You've got to be able to work with centrists. You've got to be able to people with work who may not be as far down the left as you are. I'm fine with that. I would gladly sort of reach out to anyone on the left and say, let's work together. Let's get in power. And then once we're in power, we can do stuff. So I say this all the time on my chat. I'd rather have the next Labour government with Keir Starmer in charge where I get 40% of what I want than another Tory government where I get nothing. I think that's a reasonable argument.
So I have two contentions with this mainly. The first of all, I disagree with your description of the way in which our electorate views politics. And I think that saying that there's 25% left and right and 50% centre, I think you probably would admit that that's an oversimplification, but I think it's a dangerous oversimplification. So I think that for the vast majority of the population, what they describe as being centrist is just, I have my own political beliefs and I don't conform to an ideology. And I think
they do, more important, if you speak to these people, they do. They absolutely do have like political ideologies. They will fall either onto the left or right of economics, or they will fall probably onto the left of social issues. So these people do absolutely have political ideologies.
The thing is, they don't say that they do, though. Everyone does have a political ideology, right? Everyone is ideological, and that's one of my main critiques of liberalism. I think a lot of liberals fundamentally believe that they are non-ideological when they clearly are, because liberalism itself is an ideology. The people in the street, they do have an ideology that they do commit to, but they don't actually believe that they are, and they just believe that they believe in something like common sense politics, right? Because when you poll on issues, right, when you look at the distribution of where people put their own things that they believe in policy by policy.
Yep, UK is overwhelmingly progressive. I agree with you on that.
They fulfill the top left specifically, right? They like draconian criminal sentences. They want closed borders and low immigration, but they also want nationalising of public resources. They want more state investment, and they don't believe in wholesale privatisation. At least not anymore. They used to. There was obviously a craze for that in the 1980s, for example, where it captured the beliefs of the nation, for example. But I don't think that.
A disabled Scottish Marx or disabled Scottish eco-socialist coming to a door near me. I'm going to see if I can actually do canvassing with the Scottish Greens next year. Watch this space. Plus, I'll still be doing my election coverage on the night. I will take nothing less than the utter destruction of the unionist parties. But I'm not entirely sure it's going to happen. The list system does exist. Oi, man frog. I hope you frickin' learn. I'd love that. Oh God, Morton and the Jack Miller. You're more than welcome to visit anyway. Be brilliant to have both of these up.
Is broadly what the population do really and truly want. And in fact, they showed that's what they want. They wanted state investment when they elected Boris Johnson. They showed that they wanted there to be more investment into our communities in the north, into extra hospitals in the NHS, right, into more nurses, more police officers, which was a core anti-austerity platform that Boris Johnson was promising, which was a result of the Overton window being shifted through the anti-austerity policies that were being pushed from our side in 2017 and onwards, right, 2015 and onwards. And I think that when you look at the polling on these certain issues, right, 70% want water renationalised. Even When you look at wealth taxes, you have a supermajority of people supporting wealth taxes. There are loads of these issues, especially on the economy, where broadly the electorate is more left wing than the policy that we're getting. In
Helena
fact,
being correct.
massively more left wing, like way to
saying
the
the
left
good
of any
stuff.
of not just our political class, but any kind of policy that's been passed over recent years. And I think that because of how much
Yeah.
failure we've had in economic policy, essentially for 45 years, right? This is not a blue team, red team problem. This is a problem of political ideology
Exactly
of the
alive.
people who set policy. And that's been that way constantly, regardless of which party is in power. In fact, I would say that in terms of policy platform, there's economic policy wise, I think there's very little to draw between what we got from the Conservative governments and the New Labour governments outside of like the austerity window of David Cameron and George Osborne from 2010 to 2016. And if we want to reverse the decline in this country, we have to reverse austerity. And that's currently not being provided to us by anybody in the political class.
I agree. I want to reverse austerity. I want a wealth tax, but I disagree maybe how effective a wealth tax would be. I don't know if you know Professor Richard Murphy does an excellent blog called
Yes.
I think it's tax
Research.
something, I think it's called. He's really good. He did a blog about, if you want a wealth tax, the rich are just gonna, find a way around it. It's technically what they do already with a lot of their taxes. I think there's a lot better ways. I think even in that blog he describes a lot.
At least he didn't say that they'll leave. Fine, fuck off. I'd like to see you take your fucking property with you. And if you want to fuck off, exit tax. That might work. Seriously, taxing wealth isn't that fucking hard. Just saying. Correct, Linton. Correct. Abramovich fucked off. Couldn't take Chelsea with them. So if they earn the money here, if they earn profits here in the UK, that can get taxed by the government. And most of the ones who drain everything out of there are tech platforms. She says as streaming. And if they want to take the money out of this country, we should be doing an exit tax for that. If they want to remove it and put it wherever they're with Silicon Valley, obviously, for most of them. Charge them an exit tax before they take the profits out. Yeah. Having trusts is a little bit tricky in trying to actually deal with that. Smarter minds than me. Helena might be able to explain it a bit better how we could maybe tax the Duke of Westminster. Oh, for those of you who don't know, he basically owns the City of London, the square mile as it's called, city within a city. And there, a financial transaction tax is why they fucking panicked that the EU wanted to do, and that's why lots of people went and funded the main parties here in the UK and wanted to basically leave, because the financial transaction tax is basically a direct tax on the City of London. And they all fucking panicked. They're coming for our money. Yeah. So that was one of the other reasons Brexit happened. Delightful. Because some capitalists got fucking spooked that they were going to get fucking taxed more. Obviously there was other reasons as well. How much is... A neat trick. It's not like Sokovia. Can't just put things underneath it and lift it straight out of the fucking out of the country. Oh, Stop at Streamlabs. Elron, ignore that. He does, yes. And parts of Belgravia as well. Delightful chap.
A bit of ways how you can actually tax more effectively the rich. I want a lot of that stuff, but if we are to actually do that, if we are to actually achieve any of that, you can do none of that if you are not in power. And so to do that, we have to build movements. Look at momentum. Momentum to begin with, when it got Jeremy Corbyn in power, failed to build any proper momentum or any structures in the Labour Party that would get people elected.
Did he?
That could
I didn't know
back
that.
Corbyn
Thank
up,
you, Eldon.
that could support those types of things, and that is where we're failing now. The left has marginally sort of really failed to really build those structures to get those things achieved. Now, I think eventually we will go down that, because I think in the next parliament we're going to have what I like, a progressive majority. I'm very hopeful that we'll get that, and I think Starmer and the next Labour government is probably going to be a lot more progressive than I think people give him credit for. But that's my hope. I know I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in your eyes already.
I have
hopeful.
zero expectation that he'll be more progressive in power. I think he'll be less progressive in power. He has no incentive to be more progressive when he's in power, outside of certain things where he thinks that policy is necessary to win votes due to the actual material outcomes of those policies. Like if he wants to actually improve people's lives, because really and truly people are going to vote based upon their material conditions, right? Currently, when we look at the reason why people are leaving the Conservative Party, it's people seeing their mortgage payments go up. It's people seeing their pension funds get tanked by Liz Truss. These things that are materially impacting them is what's going to move them across.
But they're not
seeing
necessarily going
shit
to
in their
Labour
rivers,
Party.
right? I mean, the stats show that they are.
They're not
All of the polling shows
Yes,
that the core group of like potential swing voters are actually, they're just moving from Tory to Labour. They are people from age 50 to 65, which is the core group that was voting Tory that are now voting Labour, which is the core group of people who still have mortgages that they're paying off and who are also close to retirement. So the pension fund being tanked by Liz Truss massively affected them. This is the biggest group that we're seeing move from Conservative to Labour. And I think this argument, the main argument that I get, I don't know if this is your argument personally, but the argument that I hear from people is that, well, we can't have progressive policy in the manifesto. We can't have an increase in capital gains tax to equalise it with, or have it closer to income tax. We can't do state investment on new council housing, for example. We can't have these things because if we did, then these people wouldn't vote for Labour at the next.
25%. The lowest rate of income tax is 25%. So anything above whatever your tax code is, you pay 25% in tax. Capital gains is set at 18, so it's below it. What progressives like myself, I'd want it a lot higher personally as a Marxist, but I'm willing to compromise, raise it up to what the minimum of income tax is, which is 25%. And we still would be one of the lowest for capital gains at that point in the Western world. But we're one of the lowest. Give me a minute. I will check. Capital gains. So the lower rate is at 18, and the higher rate, I don't know, when you tip into the higher rate, was raised to 24. So the higher rate, but I don't know what the cut-off is. Yeah, okay. I don't know that. So it was lower, it was 10%, and this Labour government raised it up to 18, so it's still too low in my opinion. Then the higher rate was at 20, but it's been increased to 24. So they've only been in, and apparently according to the FT, I just got a wee snippet of the headline from last year. Because that changed and the banding of it, because they put it up and the levels changed at over this blah amount, and I couldn't go into it because you have to pay to read the fucking FT, and I'm not about to do that. Fuck Rupert Murdoch, I'm not giving him money. So the take went down, apparently, because they changed it. I wonder why. Correct, it doesn't only UK-based ones, essentially, so UK-based corporations, and it mostly comes from estate sales, so that's British people owning stuff. I don't know if they get out, if they've still got that get out for inheritance as well. I don't. And they were all the farmers. That was one of the main ones. The inheritance tax getting changed for them, and they all went. They were tractors just outside the Palace of Westminster, and Clarkson being there being a twat. You only done that as a tax fucking get out, Jeremy, you dickhead. Yeah, the Clarkson tax. So yeah. So it was mostly hits British people. Yeah, that would need to come under corporation tax, or it might be what's corporation tax actually? Give me a minute. It's a good thing to find out. Corporation tax. Okay. It went from 19 to 25%, so it's the same level as income tax. Small profits rate 19% applies to single companies with augmented profits of less than 50 grand, and the main 25% applies to companies with augmented profits of more than 250,000. So if you earn, I don't know what the augmented means. I'm sure Helena would be able to explain it to me. So if your company earns more than 250,000, you pay the 25%, and if you earn less than 50,000 in a tax year, you pay the 19. That means that's hitting a lot of small and medium businesses. Interesting. Helena did say this to me though, that corporation tax is fine at the current levels. Capital gains needs fixed and needs raised more.
Next election. And I just think that's fundamentally untrue when these things are supported broadly by the electorate. And when you're 20 points ahead in the polls consistently, and the gap is widening month on month as Rishi Sunak becomes one of the most hated prime ministers since, I guess, the last. This idea that somehow you're putting the potential election win in jeopardy by having bold policy at the time when really and truly the country can see the death of their own country due to failures of conservative governance. Right? Not conservative party governance, but conservative ideological governance, right? The policies of austerity, the policies of privatization, the policies of lack of state investment and monetarist fiscal policy. When you look at YouGov polling, people don't support the need to reduce the deficit anymore. That's not part of the popular zeitgeist, and that was shown by how much support was given for Boris Johnson, specifically as a person who was putting forward an expansionist fiscal platform. People want to see investment in public services and into state provision of resources such as council housing, which is not being promised by the current Labour administration or the current Labour leadership.
Yep, so two things there that you've sort of brought up there. If you want to win an election, you've got to pull people over to your side. Like it or not, you've got to reach out. And it is, I think, making sure that you pull over
There's
those
lots
Tory
of people
lights.
on
Like it or
our
not, as I
side
said,
now.
if you look at polls,
Over.
who are you? 25% on the left, 25% on the right, and then that middle is that massive 30% of centrists. Like, you've got to give them something to come over you to when you go into that ballot box and put the X next to Labour. You cannot win an election if you do not pull people over to your side. You are not going to win an election just on the left by itself. You need to win over centrists. You need to win over the more light blue Tories. Again, like it or not, that's how you win an election. You win elections by winning people over to your side. The next thing is be more bold policy with Labour. I am there with you 100%. I have an absolute man crush on Ed Miliband, because Ed Miliband came out and said, I wish I had been more bold. I wish I'd been more bold when I had been Labour leader, been more bold with my policies. I agree with him. I agree with you now. Starmer needs to be more bold with his policies, because there is a ton of stuff he could do that would be really, really good. I want to see House of Lords reform. I really want to see House of Lords reform. I think that is, if we talk about electoral reform, Westminster, I understand. I think the House of Lords is a far more suitable target to go after first. Then we can go after Westminster second. I think reforming, doing a lot of economic stuff, I agree with you as well. He needs to be really bold. And unfortunately, he is being far too cautious. And I think that comes down to someone called Deborah, what's her second name now? Can't remember her name. Deborah Morhan, I believe her second name is. She's the current director of campaigning and top director of communications as well in the Labour Party. She was namely pulled because she wrote a book called The Red Wall. It's a bit, it's not that very good, to be honest, when it comes to it. But I blame a lot of the indecisiveness and unfortunately not being bold enough on, there are a lot of people just being, I think, too cautious. And I think you are right. They aren't being bold enough. They should be more bold, and they shouldn't be scared of, rising to the challenge on a lot of these issues that we're facing. But at the same time, there was a lot of controversy, as I'm sure you remember, when we had the shadow cabinet reshuffle. And all the people like, oh, well, you've got rid of all these people on the left. But look who got put in. It had been predominantly people who have been in power, knew how cabinet ministers' positions would work, because I think Starmer knows the second he gets in power,
Gemma.
he's really got a lot of work to do. I mean, you don't know the kind of traps that the Tories might have left, and the mess that we can't see in the background that, the ministers know about, that we don't probably get to see on a day-to-day basis. So, Angela Rayner, I wish Starmer would use Angela Rayner more, because she is really good. Really good. Probably definitely future leader of the Labour Party. Definitely in the future. But yeah, I think she's going to go, hopefully, in the future, we'll probably see her as a leader, and probably, definitely, hopefully, next Prime Minister. I mean, she'd be really good. I really do believe that. And certainly when it comes to the policy of New Labour, New Deal for New Workers, that's a lot of improvements that we can stand to gain. I mean, we've just lost, unfortunately, if you're on part-time or 0 hours contracts, they've just changed the rules recently that you no longer get holiday time. You've got to start from scratch and earn that holiday time, rather than if you're on full-time, you're automatically guaranteed a set of hours. Said we're not going to do that back in. I think, again, just like the the benefit cap? I think that's no goal from Labour, but it's not going to stop me voting for them, because I really do believe in the next Parliament we're going to get a very progressive majority, and I think there's a lot of hope to be done. I really do. I think being negative in politics doesn't get you anywhere. I think you've got to be hopeful, and you've got to look forward, and you've got to get those wins. And the only way you get those wins is being in power and trying to drive that change.
I don't view myself as being negative. I view myself as being realistic. I look at the policy platform that's being put out. I mean, what was happening at the National Policy Forum, where we have the leadership literally going to war with the unions over watering down the New Deal for workers, right? Not just going to war with the unions who literally fund the party, or at least they did before business funding outstripped union funding within the party, right? But also going to war with their own shadow secretary of state for the future of work over watering down her desires, what she wanted for this stuff, to the point at which she gives a speech at the Trade Union Congress promising things in the New Deal for workers that then get U-turned on the very next week. May not be a huge amount of things that got U-turned on, but still things again U-turned. She's being undermined by her own party, briefed against in the media against her as well, right? I previously was a reasonably big fan of Angela Rayner. I think that despite my misgivings over her political actions in recent months or whatever, I still believe that having genuine people from working class backgrounds high up in the Labour Party is something that is worth doing, regardless of whether I like
Yes,
them or
Gemma.
not, given how much of the Labour Party now is just a bunch of middle class liberal types who I really have no desire to see in positions of power because of the kind of people who they try and pander to and the kind of backgrounds that they're from.
Clinton, yeah.
And I think that the classism in this country needs to be fixed by having somebody from a working class background in power, rather than having people who don't represent the vast majority of the country legislating for the rest of everybody else. But I just don't see how you can have this what I believe is this kind of naive belief. I mean, again, I know I'm not trying to insult you with this, that somehow by putting him into power when he's promising conservative fiscal economics, that he'll suddenly change and be more progressive once he's in power, given that the reason why he's in the position that he is in is from donations from large business that he got as part of Labour Together, right? Morgan McSweeney's £700,000 that was off the books to literally try and usurp the membership by promising the things that they knew they were never going to deliver. That's what they did research on the membership of the Labour Party to try and do to get Keir Starmer into power, right? And at the top of the Labour Party. Then the donations that they've got from businesses to be able to deal with the fact that the coffers are getting dry because memberships are leaving in their droves because they're not getting what they were promised during the leadership election. And on top of that, we have the current future policy platform.
I actually want to cover that. I really do say this now. Anyone who left the Labour Party because, well, Corbyn stood down, basically. Anyone who left because they are upset about Corbyn, I think you're an idiot for doing so. I really do. If you want to build an actual good Labour Party, you have to be in the Labour Party. You have to push, you have to campaign and join groups within the Labour Party, because that's the only way you change the Labour Party from within. You don't change it from without.
I mean, I disagree.
You've got to be in the Labour Party. You've got to be in those positions. You've got to be able to join those campaign groups, because otherwise, why? What's the point? You've got to be within the party. Momentum was a...
Holy fuck. What a face. You can actually change it from without... Don't vote for them. Vote for more progressive people. Greens... This new party that Corbyn and Sultana have started. I'm getting emails from them. I've joined. The over 500,000 now, which will be interesting because I'm a member of the Scottish Greens. So, good. Keep on annoying her.
Was a Labour Party activist movement.
Well, I do agree with you. I do agree that people shouldn't have left just because Corbyn wasn't leader anymore. Leaving because Corbyn wasn't the leader was silly. I agree with you on that. I mean, I never was a member, but I've been in an affiliated union. Right, I was an affiliated union up until a couple of months ago when I quit my job and wasn't part of the sector anymore. I didn't leave the movement. I didn't stop being related to Labour Party until very recently. But I only left because I realised that my voice was never going to be listened to, and they've. Change the structures of the party so the internal groups in the party literally cannot get listened to anymore. The people who are going to be the leader in the future are now essentially going to get decided by the PLP because the thresholds are higher. People in the PLP are getting picked by diktat from the centralisation within the party, right? So that structure is essentially now completely impenetrable. And we know the people who are in charge of the party don't want members to engage. They don't want engagement with the membership. They want to manage the membership. And they admit it to their business partners in the actual lobbying pamphlet they give out through...
Not what I've encountered at all. I've been and talking to Labour campaign groups. They want to talk to them. They want to talk to the people. They want to see what they're saying. This is part of my problem. If you do not engage with your party, if you are not prepared to build the systems and the foundations and support groups, you will never get any change. If you do not build these systems, there is no change.
My engagement has been through my trade union, and they've just not listened to us. Dave Ward has been very, very clear about the kind of things that we want to see from the Labour Party. And when the trade unions try and negotiate with the Labour Party, they get rebuked, right? Where we had GMB and Unite walking out of the NPF dinner because they were going to war with the Labour leadership over policy. It's that I look at every structure that previously there was some lever to which the people internally within the Labour Party could pull to push policy leftwards, to push policy to be more. Well, I don't even view it as being left-wing policy. I view it as pragmatic policy. I view it as policy that achieves the ends that would make people want to vote for the Labour Party in future, or that would want people to make people vote left in future, right? I agree with you on your points about Ed Miliband. I think he's one of the few good people left in the party because he wants to build popular policy around collective ownership that would then make people further vote Labour. His council,
So do you
local
not think
authority
that's
owned
just
energy
good
policy.
having him there?
Oh, I like it. I think Ed Miliband is fine when he's not being insulted by Keir Starmer in public speeches, which literally happened yesterday, right, or 2 days ago, where Keir Starmer said, "Oh, we lost our track even before Corbyn." Okay, throw your own environment secretary under the bus.
Literally
right?
chucked Ed
But,
right under the
I
bus.
agree. Like Ed Miliband should have been more bold.
Starmer,
But the idea that we win
bastard.
elections from the centre based on the fact that Ed Miliband wasn't being bold and still lost. In fact, he lost because he lost, obviously, seats in certain areas because of the Lib Dem collapse. But he also lost seats in Scotland. He lost seats in Scotland because he wasn't progressive enough.
Scottish individual here. They got Glasgow again because I tried. Trust me, I tried. Don't fucking believe him. This is going to be back to the same. We saw the light, we voted for SNP and everything started getting better again. Well, getting better. Because this constituency had been since the Labour Party formed. I don't know if this is still true. I would hope it is the most progressive constituency in all the land, UK. This constituency that I currently live in. They got this seat back. And she's with our MP, my MP, kept to the party whip and voted for that fucked up welfare legislation. I have emailed her, don't you worry. I don't need to worry as much, obviously. She doesn't need to... Obviously, it's still fucking shitty that she's done that. That's why I do not want Anna Sarwar to win next year. I really fucking don't. Because he'll just be another fucking puppet. And bring all this fucking bollocks legislation up here at that point, I fucking panic. I can't leave this country. Who's going to take a disabled person aged 46? There'll be no fucking hope for me. That's why I need to go out and canvass, or at least do something on my stream to help educate people and not to vote for Labour next year for Holyrood. Because they'll just ship all these fucking... Hopefully, the people of Scotland will just say, no, fuck off, you'll bring in all those fucking horrible policies in respect to like the NHS and Labour and welfare. This is one of the most deprived fucking constituencies in the UK. And bringing in that form of the benefits, cuts and shit like that, no. Fuck off. I'm not going through that again. IDS and fucking Gideon tried to bloody kill me. No, not going for it. Don't touch my fucking benefits. So we need to make sure that they don't actually win Holyrood. And hopefully we're seeing all the... Basically, as Helena puts it, basically wanting to put disabled people into fucking mincer, or whichever thing she uses. No, I'm not going back to that. Fuck off. Getting treated as subhuman? No, not for it. I will try to educate as much as possible to make sure that they didn't fucking win. He's a YouTuber. So he doesn't have Twitch like me and Helena and Kev and stuff like that. He's just a YouTuber. Just whack and Bowler Hatman if you like and see what you think of him. He's idiotic. He thinks that you can change the Labour Party from within. No, they basically said to us, fuck off. Well, no, they didn't say fuck off. There's the door if you want to leave. And guess what? We all fucking left. And now they're throwing fucking hissy fits because we're not going to fucking vote for them. And Reform will fucking capitalise on that. Think of them like, no, maybe not the Nationals, but the Liberals. Christ, no, some of them are actually quite like the Nationals, like raving fucking lunatics. Please tell me they're dead now, Gemma. They were fucking crazy as fuck. I feel for my Australian comrades, I really do, because the Nationals are mental. It more likely does. The people in the centre and on the right of the Labour Party, essentially, so Liberals. Oh God, something from Reddit. Delightful.
And he lost seats in leave voting red wall seats, right? Where the decline of the red wall that was arrested in 2017 but was continuing up until 2015 because the Labour Party was too liberal. It wasn't enough of a workers' party for these people, which was clear during the Blair years when these people moved to the BNP and moved to UKIP, right? That would look more
again,
like
you've got
grassroots
no systems.
movements.
This is it. If you're not building these systems, if you're not getting these groups, if you're not going out and you're engaging with these people, I do not see almost zero to very little left-wing activism. I see almost very little.
Bowler Hat Man. There's left wing campaigning happening up here. The last time I checked, I'm sure we're still part of the UK. But Scotland's more progressive. Don't get me wrong, there's still fucking Labour and Tory voters, and there's quite possibly Reform voters now. Fuck no. But they're obviously Labour's the bigger party up here. Obviously Tories, but they'll hopefully get booted. By the way, the Scottish Labour leader Anna Sarwar is list. His deputy, Jackie Baillie, she has a constituency. So the way it works is the party members, so he's list for the other side of Glasgow, so the other side of the river, and the Labour Party members, Scottish Labour Party members down there, they're 4 or 5 miles away from me. They vote like want to blah 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 who they want to go on the list again. I don't know, he might run for a seat, he might run for an actual Glasgow constituency, but he does run the risk of not getting voted for. So he might just play the odds and just put me back onto the list. We will find out. Don't you worry. I will tell you all what he does, because I'm keeping a close eye on the bastard. Yeah, he's talking bollocks. You can tell he's talking bollocks because his lips are moving. Sorry, Bowler Hat Man, but there is left-wing activism happening here in the UK. Yeah, they don't cover it. They don't. Vested interests and all that, obviously. Yeah, delightful.
UK, and that is really depressing. That is really depressing for me to see that, because you could talk so much about where people want left-wing policy. Then why aren't we voting for people who are left-wing? Why aren't they there? Why aren't we seeing these dramatic left-wing swings, if that's the case?
Well, we did. In 2017, we saw the biggest increase in the Labour vote share in loads of years.
But we
saw a forcing of, literally, the majority of the country voted for state intervention, and Boris Johnson won the election, right? Boris Johnson promised them what they wanted. People want 40 new hospitals. They want levelling up.
Yeah, because he was a better campaigner than Corbyn.
Oh, he was an excellent campaigner. I think Boris Johnson. I'm not going to denigrate Boris Johnson's campaign. There is popular desire for state interventionist policy, which I would argue, when we look at increasing funding on things like capital investment in the NHS, 40 new hospitals is something you will never hear come out of Keir Starmer's mouth. You'd never hear it come out of his mouth. It wouldn't. It wouldn't fit into the fiscal rules.
It's not physically possible sometimes to do that. I mean, I think that was a wild promise that Boris Johnson made at the time. I think most of the promises. I think the whole. I don't know if you ever read the Levelling Up white paper report. The first 2 chapters of that are absolutely stunning, because it lays out the entire Conservative conceit that they haven't invested in the UK, they haven't had an industrial plan, and that they've done nothing to actually invest. And, oh, look, this is actually how much money you need, and would like to do that. And then when you get to the Treasury section, it's like, well,
they've been purged, Gemma. Before this, at this point and stuff, and since he became Labour leader 5 years ago in 2020, after Corbyn left, well, basically he made untenable because they were beefing against him. Well, not Bowler Hat Man, but the party structure. All the left-wing candidates got booted. They got kicked out of the party, and the selection process leading up to the general election. So there's no left-wing candidates at all in any of the local Labour Party structures in the UK. So, no. They all got basically purged. Pfizer, Shaheen, I can't remember, Frank Adlington Stringer, who's part of the Greens now, I think. They all got basically booted. They weren't allowed to. When they did get voted for by the party members of that constituency, they said, "Oh, there was irregularities with the way this person got fucking the vast majority of the vote," saying, "Oh, we need to run it again because there were slight inconsistencies," and parachuted in fucking people on the right of the party, and these left-wing candidates lost and they got booted out of the party. Per Morgan McSweeney's briefing, essentially, never forget, Keir Starmer is not really the Prime Minister. Morgan McSweeney is. He's the puppet master. And all the corporate donors that they've got. And Lord Ali. Delightful. Is it? Fuck. Quite high, John. She's more than welcome. Honestly, we'd love her to join. Well, I would love her to join. I can't speak for all of the Scottish Greens, obviously. But yeah, I'd love her to join the party. It'd be fucking amazing. She was so fucking good. I love her. So, yeah. Mary, please join. We'd love to have you in the ranks. She has said the SNP aren't as progressive as they used to be. They're more centrist now under Swinney. I feel for him, I do. So if he is going to leave, if he's going to step down and just be a constituency, my hometown, by the way, he's the MSP for Perth in North Perthshire in Holyrood, so he's my local MP up the road. Rejoice, comrades! Limey Redneck is here. Hi, Limey. That I tend to agree with you on that one, John. Yeah. Yeah, we'd love her to join. Well, I'd love her to join. Hopefully she will. There's plenty of months left for her to join. Obviously, the selection process for constituencies hasn't happened yet. We've done the votes for who we want to go in the list part of the vote. That's done. That's all wrapped up now. Patrick Harvey won for Glasgow, by the way. So he's going to be the top of the list. Then Ellie Gummersall, I voted for her to go to the top of the list for Scottish Greens for this area. So yeah, well done, Patrick. I guess. I've got a lot of time for Patrick. Don't get me wrong, but I wanted Ellie. She is awesome. I love her. Then Iris Duane and Noor Mohammed. Then Patrick fourth. Then Holly Bruce. No. Ellie, Iris, and Shona third. So that was the ticket they were on. So Ellie Gummersall first. Iris Duane is second. She's a councillor. Then I've forgotten Shona's surname. Fuck. Sorry, Shona. Then Holly Bruce, then Noor, then Patrick was fifth in my listing, in my vote. We need young blood in, especially in Holyrood, and especially in Westminster, oddly enough. I believe they're going to try and set up an office up here, probably here in Glasgow, but it might not be. It depends, obviously. Still no office for reform up here in Scotland anywhere. So I'm a little bit worried about the constituencies along the border. So the borders in Dumfriesshire and Cumbria and stuff like that, and obviously up in the Aberdeen area, which they're not the SNP, the Tories still have their fucking claws dug into.
We'd like to give you this money, but perhaps not.
I mean,
And
I
that's unfortunately what we've seen.
think trusting the Conservatives to do anything is it's a fool's errand. I agree with you 100%. Do I think that Boris Johnson was ever going to deliver 40 hospitals and levelling up? No, of course not. In fact, I think levelling up as a policy was essentially just papering over gaping wounds in huge amounts of industrial declining communities. Industrial declining communities were failed by New Labour, that were failed by the Labour government, who've continued the deindustrialisation of Thatcher and the centralisation of our entire economy around London, which led to the global financial crisis because of lack of capital controls, lack of prudential regulation, right? But of course, that's still in the past, but those are the people who needed to be won back, and they weren't won back by Ed Miliband's plea to the centre. And sure, you may say that there was still an electoral loss in 2017, and I would happily admit that. I happily admit that that's true. But what I don't agree with is this idea that means that you have to abandon left policy to then win the election from then. The issue that I have is that in both 2017 and 2019, they were clearly being clouded by Brexit on both sides. I don't think you can really make any claims of how good Labour were in 2017 when they were trying to win, when anti-Tory votes coalesced around them because of Brexit. I don't think you can make 2019 to be some catastrophic loss because of left policy when they had a different Brexit policy platform, which was a result of a gigantic drop in platform, right? In the wake of the 2017 election, Labour were ahead in the polls.
Oops. I will be back, my comrades. Give me a second, would you? Well, 1 or 2 minutes. Two minutes. Thank you. That's what Helena's trying to do, talking to him. He doesn't seem to be getting it, does he? Mm. And I'm back. Hello. Huh? Oh.
For like a year after 2017, right? It was clear that left-wing policy was not putting people off. Jeremy Corbyn trying to contact Russia over the Salisbury poisonings, that's what lost him votes. Then prevaricating on Brexit, that was lost Corbyn votes, right?
What lost Corbyn votes was the inability to get across these policies. In the 2019 manifesto,
Damn
and
it.
I will
Pause again. Play? Oh, fine, fuck off. Give me a second, comrades. 2257. Nope, wrong one. I will go into my chat. Oh, no, I need to turn the volume down on this now. Ah. Oh, fine, fuck off. I am going to have to lose my chat for a off my phone. Sorry, comrades. Give me a second, I'll get there. Sorry, chat. Corbyn's been last thing. Stop it. Right. Nearly there. Give me a second. There we go. You'll watch later. 2257.
will say this now. The 2019 manifesto, there was a really good policy to get free broadband, to have like we have in South Korea. South Korea do this, and they do it fantastically. It is a really good investment that the government invests in broadband so everyone gets access to broadband, and they view it as a state education tool. That if you have access to broadband, and it's an education tool that all the populace has access to, and it adds billions to their economy every year. When it's in the Labour manifesto that Corbyn wrote, it was an absolute mess. It became an absolute joke. There was a really infamous interview on BBC Radio Sheffield with the boss of PlusNet and the Tory, not the Tory, the Labour MP at the time. The boss of PlusNet took him to town because he couldn't espouse what the policy was or how it was going to work or anything like that. That's a
create a state-owned broadband company and pay for it out of taxation. There, I've solved the problem. Just make it state-owned. They can do that. They can create state-owned infrastructure. What the broadband companies were worried about was losing all their customers to the state-owned one. Obviously, if you want to pay for fibre optic, blah, 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 and pay more and other things like Disney Plus, Paramount, blah, 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 Netflix, whatever. But there'll be a bare minimum from the state broadband, the state broadband company. That's how you set it up as state-owned and pay very little or less than what there's social tariffs as well, so we could set it at that level and it can be minimum service level essentially. Holy fuck, nice one, John. Didn't know that. Thank you for telling me. That would have been cool. I would love state-owned broadband. I've got a social tariff and we pay £20 a month and there's minimum service levels that you have to provide. That was in the legislation when the social tariff got brought in. The Tories? I think they'd done that. Like the megabytes per second is obviously lower for people who pay these social tariffs. You have to prove, you have to jump through some hoops saying what benefits you're on, blah, 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 and stuff like that. But all the main ones, where this household's got 3 of them anyway. They all get paid to super happy. Oh, no problem, Gemma. Self-care. Stay hydrated. Take your meds. Get good sleep. Stay beast. Talk to you later, darling. Nice one. You could maybe not tonight because fucking hell, it's half 1. I wouldn't expect you to jump on and explain it. You could maybe jump onto one of my streams later, and you can explain what you came up with. That would be awesome. Or if you can put it in the Discord, and I can look it over to see what it looks like. Because I'm super interested. Obviously, having a state broadband provider would fucking kick ours. Obviously. People up here would fucking love it. I'm quite happy with my 20 quid a month. Hence, I can stream, do my research, shit like that. Watch far too many fucking Forrest Valkyrie videos. And obviously chat on Helena and Kev streams. So I first met a lot of emotions because there was... Sweet! I like. Don't bust yourself trying to look for it. Obviously you can explain in the chat if you like. Oh, I will. It is empty calories, but it is good. Showing where he's went wrong is delightfully easy, obviously. I like the way she explains it to show everyone in her sphere, essentially. don't get me wrong, I'd want, there is better ways of running the economy. We know this. There's some stances that anarchists do that I don't fully subscribe to. Don't get me wrong, I still want you as part of the conversation, obviously. Because some of the anarchist positions are fucking amazing. Left unity, hopefully. But I'm a realist. Don't really have a lot of anarchists that I can think of, like yourself, obviously, Lexi Bat, proudly radical. Kai's an anarchist, and he lives in Vegas. Lots of there's a good few anarchist streamers, which is good and based. Oh my god, I don't know what Radhom is. Is he an anarchist or is he a Marxist like me?
A lot of the work that really needs to be done on a lot of this left wing, the theory needs to become policy to tell the people, well, this is why you want this policy, this is how this policy is going to work. That is what I think is also
so your
really
argument is that not that the policy itself would put people off, but poor communications on why the policy would be good would put people off. So do you think that somehow the current Labour leadership don't have good enough communications to be able to pull off left-wing policy?
Yes,
because at the moment
the current Labour communications, I will admit, is absolutely dire. I was going to go to the Labour conference with Graham and Phil, and we were going to do they wanted to do an entire segment on how bad Labour comms is, and the fact that they need to do more, they need to get more engaged, they need more.
Phil Moorhouse, A Different Bias, and Graham Hughes? Is it Graham Hughes? Surprised they didn't bring in Femi. So that's the three main ones. I can't remember. So Phil Moorhouse is A Different Bias. I can't remember what Graham's channel's called. Sorry, Graham. I'm trying not to do that. I'll go and check what Graham's channel's called. Femi has a backbone, so he's excluded. Oh God, is it Politics Social? I know Phil Moorhouse's ones because I was a channel member for 2 or 3 years, but we're talking a good few years ago now. Around about Brexit time, so like 2016, 17, back then. So we're looking nearly a decade since it's been ages since I've actually checked out Phil's channel. Because I found Helena through Phil's channel, oddly enough, and I found Maximilian Robespierre through Kev's and Helena's, so it's joint. I used to be a member of Max's channel. That was closer to now. I think that was just before the pandemic with Max. But it's been fucking years since I've went and visited My Different Bias. Femi does have a backbone. I've got a lot of time for Femi. And obviously I'll big up Helena, obviously, because she's fucking awesome. And Kev, because he is deliciously ironic at well, I keep on thinking he must have Scottish ancestry somewhere in him because he's snarky as me. Ah, Yanis. I don't know who Michael Hudson is. Thank you for the recommendation, Gemma. Is he? Right. Obviously, and the beast, David Grieber. May he rest in power. I miss that man.
Do more social media and do more live streams, because then you can sort of reach more people and tell people, okay, this is our policy, this is what it is. And I think Phil does a really good job when he does his live streams where he talks about this particular Labour policy. This is why this particular Labour policy is why it's going to be good.
But then this isn't an argument against running on a more left-wing policy platform and purely on economics, right?
I'm not arguing running on a left-wing platform. I would
My-
love Labour to run on a more left-wing platform.
We
But
all
the
would.
reality is, at the moment, there is no platform there is essentially no platform. There is no launch point for these policies. You cannot. There is no. Well, wait. Let me think about this. There's no move. Well, there is a movement. But there's no organised movement.
I mean, I don't think you. I don't. Whilst I
Really
think that
isn't.
there would be good if we did
A
have
lot
one,
of movement
I don't think that necessitates not having it in a potential policy platform to try and put an election, especially an election where you've been gifted a massive lead in the polls, right?
Yeah, it's been
Nothing-
a massive opportunity.
Yeah,
I'll go with you on
because
that.
literally the lead in the poll is such because of Tory failure, right? Incumbent governments lose elections. It's really difficult for opposing parties to win elections on their own merits unless the current incumbent government destroys their own polling ratings, which is what's happened, right? In the wake of Liz Truss, in the wake of Boris Johnson and Partygate, and of course Rishi Sunak being an
Remember, comrades, Labour didn't win, the Tories lost because everyone was fucking sick of them. Labour didn't win. And even with a compliant party, PLP, they're still having backbench rebellions happening. Which is fair because they were coming after disabled people, which is a scummy thing to do. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Oh, sweet. No, he doesn't. Mm. Plus kicking people out left, right and fucking centre. So that's for more recently lots up and down the country in the lead up to the general election last year and since he became Labour leader in 2020. So yeah, kicking out people who had been in the party since fucking Blair, probably. Blair didn't kick them out. In some cases, he actually listened to them and took on elements of what they were proposing. But yeah, he literally booted all the left-wingers out. There's still Lavery. He still has the whip. So, mind you, he is only one person. It'll happen. There'll be some sort of... He'll disagree again with some sort of ghoulish neoliberal fucking legislation and he'll vote against it and he'll lose the whip. At that point he crosses over and joins his colleagues Jeremy and Trickett. And Zara, obviously. On you go, Lavery, just fucking leave. Tell them where to fucking go. You're actually quite decent. Oh, there we go. And with any luck, people like John McDonnell, well, maybe not. He'll probably stand down at the next general election. McDonnell. Looks like Jeremy's in for the long haul. Strength of character, basically. Good for him. Was it Kev that said this? Kev says he'll probably die on the benches. I hope he doesn't.
Unlikable buffoon, really and truly. They've been gifted a gigantic lead, basically, despite the fact that everybody hates Keir Starmer, right? His approval ratings are rock bottom. People
get what's hell
not
enough.
only do they dislike him as a person, they also don't know what he stands for or what he believes. When you listen to people's discussions, they go, well, I want to see more things from him, right? So it's clear. We both agree. We want him to be more bold, and it's also shown it in terms of the polling. People expect him and are looking for him to be more bold in terms of policy as well. So when you look at these things, none of these things, again, say to me that the kind of policy that we both want to see, right, that we both want to see, in terms of like the actual policy itself, regardless of communications, regardless of how it can be sold to the public, but maybe Labour might screw that up, right? Of course, let's just assume that comms is good and that it does get sold to the public well. None of these things are a reason as to why we shouldn't have left-wing policy in the next manifesto to try and win an election. When literally, if it was 2015 and there isn't the Conservative collapse. Maybe you do need to be more cautious. But this is the one time where right-wing policy on tax cuts has destroyed the economy. You can campaign on tax rises. When the privatization of our water sector has led to rivers full of shit in our country, you can argue for nationalisation of the water sector. Maybe not first term, maybe second term, but we say our long-term goal is bringing these back under public control. But I fundamentally believe, given how unassailable this leader is, like, Keir Starmer is the next Prime Minister, and he can be bold, but he doesn't want to be. And the only fundamental reason I can think of is either because people like Morgan McSweeney are essentially saying that he's not allowed to be, because those are the people who essentially groomed him into the position that he's in at the moment, or because he's not allowed to, because that's what Labour Party's donations hinges upon. His personal donations, the donations of Labour Together, and the actual party coffers at HQ, what they rely on, as well as business investment. And those are the things I think. I mean, literally had Will Hutton conspiring with the CEO of Severn Trent Water to try and stave off nationalisation by approaching the Labour Party with this concept of like social utility firms, right, which are still private but have more like social utility involved in their operation, to try and prevent nationalisation of our water sector at a time when Thames Water is literally collapsing in front of us, and where the Conservative government might have to emergency nationalise them. But these arguments write themselves, and if you let the Conservatives set the narrative at a time when their own ideology has been exposed as a failure, we'll have Conservative policy forever.
Where's the movement? Where are the people pushing this? Where are the MPs? Are we getting the right MPs elected? Are we getting that movement in?
Bowler Hat Man, please listen to Helena. Listen to people like me. They got fucking kicked. He said, literally, fuck it, where is it? There is the door if you want to leave. He essentially told the left-wing party members up and down, both MPs, constituency parties and everything, there's the door, and we fucked off. He said fuck off, and we fucked off. So he'll mend them. So, and if they come moaning to us, oh, the fleas aren't full, fuck off. You told us to leave. We left. Deal with it. And you can appeal to your boomers now if you like. Everyone that's progressive and under my age, we will not vote for you. You're doing Tory policies and literally running the party like it's an authoritarian fucking regime. So no, you told us to fuck off and we fucked off. Deal with it. Yeah, they just parachute fucking right of the party fucking members now, so fuck them. No. It's one of the main reasons I'm going to be campaigning against Anas Sarwar getting back into Holyrood. No, I don't want another fucking puppet. It's bad enough having one down in Westminster. I don't need one up here. Look at me screaming into the void again. There is hope up here, thank fuck. And hopefully there'll be hope across the land now with the Corbyn Sultana and the Greens, especially if Zach wins. Please. So no, Bowler Hat Man, he told us to fuck off. And they're parachuting people who stick to the party line now. Fuck you if you've got left-wing policies, we don't want you. Fine. Go away now. Have fun. Seriously, I don't think they're going to win. And we're going to get fucking Manfrog as bloody Prime Minister. Fuck. I say again, hopefully they'll not get many MSPs, either list or constituency up here. Again, slightly worried about the borders and up in the Aberdeenshire area. So, because Starmer is so fucking hated now, even from then, he wasn't liked that much. But now his poll ratings are fucking in the toilet. Serves him right. They are not going to win the next general election, I think. But still, obviously time will tell. Next year's going to be big because lots of the Labour councils, including Birmingham, second largest city in the country. Be fun to see how that goes. Hopefully that bin strike will get fixed. I feel for Kev, I really do. So next year, Holyrood and some of the larger cities, including ones on the East Coast, ones in the Midlands and stuff like that, where Labour are in control of the council. So next year is going to be fun. And if Labour get fucking brutalised, which they obviously deserve to, seriously, they really do, Holyrood's going to be good. Ha ha ha. And you'll have this mad Scottish lass losing her fucking shit if they get too many fucking MSPs. But I will dutifully report it. I'll see how it goes. If I can bring it onto my stream, I should be able to. Oh god. I'm going to have to go into the iPlayer for that one, methinks. Maybe YouTube channels, Sky News, Channel 4, maybe. We'll find out, don't you worry. And I'll live stream it and you can watch my face get contorted with rage. Or joy, maybe. So, keep your fingers crossed for that.
Those people in the
They can't
in the
be
party
elected. They're
pushing
being
for that.
taken out of the selection process.
Where are these movements? Where are
Green
these
Party.
movements to sort of push for that? There is none. This is what's so annoying. This is what's so frustrating because it's the exact same thing you see in America, where they want all these progressive policies as well, but there is no left movement to
The
push for these
duopoly
things.
exists
Bernie
over
Sanders
there.
had the
It's
most
worse for
individual donations to a
Americans.
campaign in US
Doesn't mean there's
political
no
history. There's a
leftists over
gigantic
there.
And
movement
why
for
isn't
it.
the left doing that? Why are they donating to the Labour Party now?
They did
If-
under
if-
Corbyn.
If Bernie Sanders can do that, why can't we do it?
Well, they did under Corbyn. Right, we did build them. We've built the biggest political party in Europe, and maybe it wasn't successful. And I admit that it wasn't successful.
Damn it, I'm hungry. I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to get myself a sandwich.
and lessons need to be learned, right? I don't disagree with that. And then Keir Starmer becomes the leader of the party. In fact, members don't immediately leave, but they start leaving when they start getting turfed out of the party, when they start getting trot hunted. Well, we know from the Ford report, they get trot hunted.
Building those platforms to do this. Because we believe we can, help to influence Labour on that front.
I mean, believe me, I wasn't done with the Labour Party until very recently. In fact, up until like a year ago, when people in my chat were shouting at me to continue to move away from the party, I was still saying, look, I believe in, that whilst I don't like what's happening under the current administration, I believe that fundamentally, if you want to fight for better workers' rights, it's going to come from the trade union movement. So having a party that's beholden to the trade unions in power is the best way of being able to do that, for better, for worse, even though if they're not giving you good policy. But it's been clear to be shown that the current leadership, which have essentially a vice grip on party control, because the mechanisms by which members can engage, a movement can engage, have been shut off because of the ways in which they've changed the process of selection. They've changed the process of the way in which members get to set policy.
That's not what I'm hearing when I'm talking to people like Movement Forward. When they're talking with MPs, when they're getting meetings with the Labour Party, if you're telling me that's not the case, why am I getting a completely different view from someone that I know that is running to get PR on the Labour platform, on the Labour manifesto? Why am I getting that
representation? Right? I think there is plenty of Labour MPs who probably do support proportional representation. How many of them support it enough to challenge the current leadership on it? How many of them are going to actually have somebody on, say, for example, on economic policy, which is what I'm focusing on here, because economic policy is what's going to make sure that poor people get to live, they get to put food on their kids' plates, right? PR is something good that I support, right? But that comes second to me to economic policy. Where is the movement in PLP that's going to challenge the current leadership on that? Because they're not doing it.
I think we are going to get a progressive parliament in the next thing. I think we're going to get a lot of new Labour MPs. And I think these new Labour MPs are going to push more and more to be more progressive. I think we'll get more progressive people in.
I mean,
and I think that will be
fundamentally
what
disagree. I've been following the selections, and the people who are getting elected into positions of PPCs for the Labour Party, a lot of these people are just people who are related to existing members of the PLP. Wes Streeting's boyfriend got put on the parliamentary selections, and people who had genuinely progressive policy platforms they were putting forward, like Lauren Townsend and Milton Keynes, right? She was somebody who unionised her own workplace as a working class person, right? Supported by multiple trade unions, taken off the ballot for being too left-wing, replaced with Chris Curtis, somebody who's a pollster for opinion, right? Somebody who's just part of the political scene, and not somebody who's like part of the Labour movement, not part of the wider progressive movement either. Just somebody who happened to work at a pollster, who would be somebody who would be useful to have in a Labour movement. It's just like how Keir Starmer literally only became an MP because he was a potential Attorney General if Ed Miliband won the election in 2015. That's why he's a Labour MP, was because they wanted somebody who would be a good Attorney General. None of this, to me, speaks the idea of some big group of MPs for progressive change. Maybe there are plenty of MPs in smaller constituencies that I'm missing. But whenever we find an actual progressive, my personal constituency is Greg Marshall. Right? Greg Marshall, somebody who's not like a raging communist or anything, just a genuine person, a local working class socialist, right? Got struck off from being too left wing. And I have a Lewisham councillor who doesn't even live in Broxtowe, who's going to be my PPC. And do I think that this person is anything other than somebody who's just been inserted and parachuted in for being the right kind of candidate? Because it looks to me, and when I speak to people I know who are members of the Labour Party still, my dad for one, the people who are being selected are not being selected based on merit, they're not being selected based on ideology, they're being selected based upon deference, whether or not they're going to be people who are going to be controllable when it comes to being in power.
Well said, Helena.
I understand why. Look at the current Conservative Party, 6 different factions all fighting with each other like rats in a sack, whilst still sitting on a giant majority, and because they can't be controlled, it's looking pretty slapdash in terms of governance. But is that democracy? Is that the kind of democracy that we want to see internally within the party? And will it lead to progressive policy? I can't see how. I honestly can't see how. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm willing to be disproven, but nothing from what I've seen lends to this idea that we're going to see this hugely progressive parliament you claim there'll be.
I think it will. I really do think it will. I am very hopeful when it comes to sort of my politics. That's how I do things. I think you get more done with hope than more than anything else. I really do am. I really am hopeful. And I think it is, and it can be done. I think we will get that progressive majority, and I think we will see change. And I genuinely think there's a lot of people out there who are coming from a very sort of disappointed, downturned view of of just politics in general that are just going that way and just saying, well, I think it's going to be bad because ... Labour are just, quote, new Tories. No, I think we're going to get
Schadenfreude here from me. Told you so. Helena's trying to tell you, Bowler Hat Man. Not listening to her. Won't be progressive because Keir Starmer literally went back on all his promises. Literally. Proven fucking liar. I didn't trust them. Mind you, the Scottish and former IC people are fully green now, by the way. No. I don't trust them. Simple as. You can see that they're progressive all he wants, but they're not. Same economic plan as the fucking Tories. Thanks, Rachel.
very progressive parliament, the next one. That's why I really do hope for, and that's why I will fight for. If they don't go that way, well, then I will sort of fight, and I will say, you know, that's the ground I want. That's the party I want. That's the progressive movement and the policies that I want to fight for, and I will sort of go forward and I will build those things. So, you know, that's why I support Movement Forward, because I want PR. I think PR would be fantastic if we could get that in. I think that would bring a lot of change to the country. So I really do believe it is possible. And, you know, I know you said, oh, well, that's just naive, but I think you've got to go forward with some hope, or else.
I admire that you admit that it's mostly about hope rather than more cynical analysis of the situation, right? But it to me it feels like a really gigantic like wallet inspection moment, really and truly. I just being honest here, I feel like this is like you've just been sold some magic beans by people whose main priority is power, and rather than progressive change. Because if they wanted it, they would want to try and instill it in the member base, and they do the opposite, where they disempower their own member base. We know what they do at Labour HQ. It's all in the Ford report. Like, and this attitude they have to their own membership. When Alistair Campbell will literally do a foreword to a document they're giving to businesses saying, please lobby our MPs. The membership is to be managed rather than encouraged, right? These are their own words. And I'd rather take them at face value and be cynical and try and use the levers at my disposal to push things electorally in my fashion by withholding my vote until I see those things in plain English, than promising them my vote without pressuring them when it's clear to me their only desire is to see that vote happen, right? To try and win our vote and then do what they want to do when they're in power, which I believe it, again, at least you say that it might be naivety, but it's partly hope. And I appreciate that level of candidness. I cannot see it. I just cannot see it in terms of the kind of people who are in control of the party.
Because you and I both would like to see a wealth tax, right?
I mean, I'm more concerned with capital gains tax, but I would like to see a wealth tax as well, yes.
So, yeah, let's talk a wealth tax, because I think capital gains is probably easy to do. I think all they'd have to do is probably just raise the current capital gains tax. I think it's what? Is it 13% or is it 12%? I can't remember. It's quite low at the moment.
It stratifies. So capital gain, it's essentially half of income tax, so that the standard threshold is 10%, and then the second threshold is 20%.
So I do agree. It needs raising. I think you're going to get Starmer, who's going to go into, well, to be honest, quite frankly, a car crash of an economy, and who's going to have to go, probably within the first 2 years, generally sort out this mess. And I think you're going to have to see where do we get the money from? Who has all this money? A lot of the money, of course, we know is held in a lot of physical assets. Getting money out of physical assets, quite hard sometimes. So I think a wealth tax and on stuff on dividends as well is I think that's the right way to go. And I think you will see Starmer have to do that, because, you know, we've lost 4% of Brexit. The economy, you know, I think it was a lot of Tories recently saying, oh, well, look at the economy, we're going well, we're going back on the up. But no, we've had the economy suddenly just lurch to a halt and frozen. And I think you're going to have to see them go in a far more progressive way. We've seen what happens when, you know, you decide to go, you know, full Liz Truss in a sort of a free market fundamentalist libertarian type of way. So I really do think we'll see them maybe not go whole hog. You know, maybe they will go what?
So like I said earlier on, it was 10 and 20%. It's now 18 and 24. Still too low, still not the same amount as work gets taxed. The people who generate the wealth, who do the workers, they get taxed more than the people who own the means of production. They can raise capital gains quite easily. I'd like to see someone's take on whether raising corporation tax might be better. Maybe Murphy would have it. Maybe Richard Wolff. See if I can find it. Oh, I needed that. Smoked ham, sliced chicken with stuffing in it, and Arran cheese with chives in it, and essentially Morrison's, Tesco own brand bacon fries. Damn, I needed that. That was good. Try Arran cheese, everyone. Island Cheese Company online. You can make your own hamper up, your own box, and it's delicious. Super Hubber, you better move fast before I finish the cheese. Nom nom nom. Nom.
30%, you know, maybe they go 30% on sort of, you know, making some like progressive economic changes. But that's 30% more than you would see from a Tory government.
They've ruled it out. Rachel Reeves literally wrote in the Telegraph saying we're not going to do wealth tax, we're not going to raise capital gains tax. They've already said
she changed her tune on that.
Do you think they're just going to lie to the population? Do you think they're lying to the electorate?
No, I think that when push comes to shove, when they are in power, they will have to revisit this.
So do you think that they're naive about the state of the economy and what they will be able to need to do to be able to create a better economy for everybody? So we'll get into power, look at the books and say, oh, well, actually, all of our promises around wealth taxes and around capital gains tax increases are not going to work with what we want to do for our policy program, so we're going to have to implement it. Is that what you think is likely to happen?
Yeah, I think they're gonna be met by the reality. They're gonna have to really change and really rethink what they're going to have to do on that. I understand why Rachel Reeves is doing what she's doing. You know, they're having to be very careful when it comes to the economy. This happened before in 1992. You know, Labour were set pretty much to win, but the Tories made absolute hay out of, I think it was the Labour tax policy at the time. And when they were literally probably about to be defeated in a very similar position that we are in now, they made hay out of that commitment that Labour had made at the time, and they pulled defeat out of the fire. But it didn't last long. Like I say, because they went on to lose in 1997. So I really do think it is doable. I think that's what's generally going to.
I can't remember what put paid to the major government because he took over after her. You know, it's him that done a lot of the privatisation as well. She kicked it off, obviously, because. I can't remember what put paid to Major. Got bacon fries stuck in my teeth. Haha, got it. If anyone can remember what put paid to the major government in 97, obviously that was a huge landslide for Blair in 97. For all my sins, I voted Labour in that year. That was my first general election, by the way. I was 18 that year. My God, that was nearly 30 years ago. Fuck.
Happen. I think realities of government are going to hit them slap bang in the face, and I think you're going to have to see them rethink a lot of things that initially they had written off. And I think that you are going to see more movement, more membership movements come forward and push for a lot more progressive policy and push for a lot more progressive change. Again, I'm a big advocate for write to your MP. Write to your MP constantly. Annoy the heck out of them. Go see them in the surgeries. Go speak to them. Go talk to them. Go engage with your local Labour Party, and not just your local.
2 buses. The main part. Excuse me. Sorry. Need to burp. 2 buses. Because it's in the East End. That way. So the 3 main ones are all in the East End for me. So that's 2 buses for me to get to. I really should go and check when she has her surgery. She's probably back up here now to do some surgeries if she's away on holiday or something. I have no idea where her constituency office is. I keep on meaning to check to see if she really should have it up here, because the vast majority of her constituents live here in Springburn, but all her surgery locations are all in the East End. But the Denniston, Alexandra Park, that sort of area over there. Does she hold surgeries near Tech Park? I can't remember. So it's just 2 buses for me to get to one of them. That's the nearest one. My sister is close to her, to one of the surgery locations. They live in Greenfield, which is part of Denniston, which is the East End over there. It's weird, me and my sister having the same MP now. Never used to. Thank you, Boundary Commission, you fucking idiots. And it's a weird shape of a constituency now. It lopped off the west part of this constituency and moved it quite a lot further east, weren't we? So we had Postle Park and part of what is Bisland Drive, which takes you out to Maryhill Road. So it got lopped off and got put into a constituency over there, and they extended our one quite a good bit east, so 3 miles away from me essentially. Maybe closer to 4, come to think of it. So I would go and visit her when she does surgeries. I would. If I can be arsed. Like, I don't travel well. Well, I will go and find out later on and maybe go and say, hello, I've been emailing you about shit. And it's usually her assistant or research assistant who works down in London for her, that does all of that stuff, dealing with constituents.
Labour Party meetings, go to your local town councils, because if you really want to get change immediately, go to your local town council. Get involved in your local town council.
I mean, I'm all for democratic participation. I'm all for going and speaking to all elected representatives on every level, local authority, whether it be your MP, whether it be your mayoralty if you're in a particular mayoral district, right? 100%, absolutely on board with this level of democratic participation. Because in fact, your local authority has loads more power than you think that they do, and a lot of people misapprehend that. That's why Preston is a model that I would absolutely
get paid.
I would impress upon every Labour council to just copy what Preston do. Preston have really got localism down to a T. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, big fan. Right, I agree. I 100% agree with that kind of thing. The levers that need to get pulled to get position to be changed centrally in the party, it's going to take more than that, and I think that the electoral route is the way in which is going to make the most difference to the people who matter, who have the levers on policy. Because you got to think, right, The people who are currently funding not just the Labour Party but the Labour leadership are the ones who have the most to lose materially if capital gains increases, if a wealth tax is imposed. The people who are currently essentially bankrolling Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves into number 10 and number 11 are the ones whose material interests are opposed by the policies that we want. And I do not see how people who are investing in Labour expecting ROI would continue to give that support if they were then approached with policies that would harm their business interests.
So where's the left-wing, campaign movement? Like, you've got Movement Forward. Where's that left-wing campaign group?
I mean,
The campaign for
technically,
campaign
Momentum
finance
still
reform?
exists, right? But it's the trade unions. They're the left-wing movement. Most people who, even if they aren't members of the Labour Party, they are at least still members of trade unions. The vast majority of us, right? I can't speak for everybody, but Unite the Union's still a gigantic campaigning force. In fact, so big of a campaigning force that they've realised that they can't do anything internally with the Labour Party. So have been attacking the Labour Party themselves through their own billboard campaigns and what they feel as swing constituencies, to force Labour to try and move their position on, for example, investment in steel in industrial northern communities, right? That's what they've been doing, because they realise the levers are not there internally within the party. But what they can do...
doing that. Starmer's investing in steel.
And that is as a result, that's literally as a result of Unite the Union.
You've been saying that doesn't work.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that Unite the Union have to take money out of the party and campaign from the outside. They have to attack Labour from the outside, which involves taking money out, taking support away.
You've said that these unions want to sort of move the Labour Party. You've said that they can't. But
no,
you've just provided an example where
they can't do it internally. That's what I said. They can't do it internally within the party. They have to go outside of the party, take money that would be given as a blank check to the Labour Party. They've taken that funding away. Sharon Graham's been specific in saying, we don't want to write a blank check for Labour, and we're going to have our own campaigning fund for our own political goals, right? And they've said, well, we're going to attack Labour rather than give them money and then try and do things internally, because that's not worked. It didn't work with the National Policy Forum. It's not working on candidate selections. It's not working within the party conference. They just get ignored. So they have to attack Labour and say, Labour isn't helping you on steel. And then suddenly Keir Starmer has to go, well, I guess if they're going to put up billboards that might lose us votes at the general election, then we're going to have to move on policy. And that's what moving outside the party and not doing things internally has led to a success. And that's why I support the trade unions as a bloc rather than their own internal mechanisms within the Labour Party, because they don't exist anymore. That's why I'm very happy to be a member of a different party who do try and impose electoral consequences, which is what Unite would have done. If they were saying to the billboards, what they said was, who supports steel, does Sunak, does Starmer? And if you're a person who's like a single issue voter, like mythical single issue voter on the steel industry in your town, and Starmer and Sunak don't do that, they're going to vote for somebody else. That's an electoral consequence, right? And that is what you have to impose on the Labour Party to get them to change their opinions. Impose electoral consequences, rather than just turning up at membership meetings, trying to influence the National Policy Forum.
That's every election, though.
Yeah, that's why I'm voting for the Green Party. It's an electoral consequence.
You've got to pull people to your side. But you said that the exact example you've just given, you said doesn't work.
How do you mean? Sorry, explain to me.
You've given an exact example where it does work.
What do you mean? Sorry.
The example that you've given of Unite managing to sort of move Labour over to sort of support the steel industry.
Yeah, because they promised electoral consequences externally from the party. That's exactly explicitly what I'm trying to say.
But no,
the internal party mechanisms are not there.
That has an effect on the Labour Party. But you've just said that's had an effect on the Labour Party.
Yes, it has. Yes, we have to oppose electoral consequences, right? My whole point about not voting Labour and voting for another party is because it's also an electoral consequence, right? It's external from the internal party.
Who is this other party that's going to win?
Doesn't matter. It does not matter whether my vote leads to a winning candidate or not. What it does is it imposes an electoral consequence. So let's move away from the Labour Party. Let's talk about the Conservative Party, right? 2015 election. In the polls leading up to 2015, Edmund Abant's ahead in the polls. UKIP polling 15% on the back of wanting to get the UK to leave the European Union. In the 2015 manifesto, David Cameron promises a vote on Brexit, and he wins the election because he stops bleeding votes to UKIP. Brexit happened as a result of UKIP campaigning, and they only won a single seat, and it was because Douglas Carswell defected from the Conservative Party. They imposed an electoral consequence on the Conservative Party for not supporting the issue that they wanted to be part of the national zeitgeist, And because they imposed those electoral consequences, the Conservative Party relented, and they literally got Brexit done, and they won nothing. Nigel Farage never won a seat in his life in Westminster, yet the one policy that he has been campaigning for decades, he got in power because he imposed electoral consequences on a party that they would not have had to make that concession if it was done internally. And that's exactly what we need to do with the Labour Party, impose
Greens.
electoral consequences.
Where's this third party then that's going to pull votes away?
Prepare yourselves. Who are we going to vote for? Bowler Hat Man. Hello, Scotland exists. SNP. I had to get out. I had SNP. Slightly more progressive than Labour. So you can't just say that. Applied for Wales. And, Alliance for Northern Ireland. We were talking about that earlier. I don't think so. I've never seen him wear one, and I've seen quite a few of his videos. I just go in and check every now and again. But no, I've never seen him wear a bowler hat. Proper bowler hats are kind of expensive. I can give him a get out in that sort of way. But he probably earns a fair bit of his channel, I would believe. And he can go and buy a bowler hat. So he... Yeah. That's essentially, he's equating himself to be, the bowler hats were seen as like the mandarins, people who work in Whitehall, essentially. The people who actually run the country, not the government. So that's what a bowler hat used to signify, essentially, that you were a civil servant. And you worked in Whitehall or fucking local government or whatever.
The Green Party.
I'm sorry, the Green Party, the party that's only ever had one MP in 20 years.
Yeah, the UKIP only had one MP in 20 years.
That's never come higher than what, third or fourth?
They used to poll at 3%.
The Green
so
Party
did
is going to storm to victory.
No, they're not going to storm to victory. They're going to impose electoral consequences, right? UKIP
It's
used to poll
never
3%.
imposed an electoral consequence. The Green Party has never imposed an electoral consequence.
UKIP didn't until 2010, right?
They will have no Green MPs because she's winning because of her name alone in that seat. The Green Party are going to impose no electoral victories on you.
They won't if you keep voting for the fucking Labour Party.
Oh God,
they
I
give
love
you nothing of what you
have
want.
to eat humble pie.
Of course they're going to impose electoral consequences. If continual
MPs,
liberals and centrists continue to force left-wing people to cuck themselves out to the leadership of a party that does not care about them, does not support their own principles and what they want to see happen, right? Because they keep saying, we can't vote for another party, because you're splitting the progressive vote. You're not voting tactically, right? That's what will continue to happen.
What a fucking idiot. All right. Thank you, John. I hope the Greens tell them where they can go. 4 MPs. 4. And with any luck, with the Scottish Greens up here, actually, I'm not sure. We've yet to decide what we're going to target constituency-wise next year. Don't get me wrong, the list ones, the list is easier to deal with earlier on. Constituencies are a lot different across the land, everywhere. But we will decide, don't you worry. And with Leave, I will describe what happens. Hopefully we've got good... I voted for the correct person for our comms. There was internal elections as well in the Scottish Greens. So good comms needed. You always need good comms. The Labour's now hired fucking former editor of The Sun. Delightful. Are Liverpool Council up for election next year?
happen, right? And that's what UKIP voters decided they were not going to stand for after being told forever they had to suck it up and vote Tory. They then decided
You're
not
also going to
to.
split the left-wing vote. You're also going to split the left-wing vote.
Yeah, I am going to split the left-wing vote. I'm happy to split the left-wing vote because otherwise
So
I'm going to be
that means
voting
the
for
Tories
continual
will
neoliberal
gain power.
monetarism.
Fucking ringing
That
bells
you're
in my
happy
head,
to.
splitting the left wing vote.
Would you be
Labour aren't
happy to
left.
split the left-wing vote at the next election and let the Tories continue on for another 4 years?
It's not going to happen. Keir Starmer's not losing the next election because people on the left are voting for the Green
No,
Party.
I'm just saying, if that was to happen at the next election, would
Tories
you
are
be happy
dead.
to split the vote and let
Tories
the
are
Tories win
dead.
the next election?
I mean, depends what the polling looked like. It depends on whether I think that the consequence of a
I
broad
don't care
movement
about that.
kneecapping the
The
Labour
question
Party would do
is,
that. No, it's consequential
would
based
you
upon
split the vote
situation, right?
and
Everything's
let
responsible.
the Tory party win the next election?
I'm not speaking about. I can't. That's why I can't deal with idealists, right? And we have to live in material reality of what the
I'm not
consequence
an
and
idealist.
utility of.
That is the reality. You would split the vote.
No, you are. But
Okay, I'm speaking with hindsight here, Bowler Hartman, right? Okay? I might explain it when I say I've borrowed this, just so you know that I've commented on you in this stream, okay? That's been said recently, since Corbyn and Sultana have set up their party. Well, still not registered. Over 500,000 people have signed up to get communications from them. Fucking amazing. Labour are not left anymore. They are not. So there is no left-wing vote split. Slightly different up here. Some policies by SNP are more progressive, don't get me wrong. Public ownership of water, public ownership of rail, ScotRail exists, Scottish Water. And a slew of other policies, higher income tax rate for people who earn over 150,000, I believe. So there's higher income tax rate up here for people who earn more. Still taxing work, essentially. But at least it's something the richer, the wage earners who are earning more than 150,000, I believe, I'll need to go and check that. They pay more in income tax up here. Edinburgh's got 80% partial ownership of buses, I believe. I'll need to go and speak to my Edinburgh comrades about that one. I'm sure it's 80% they own, so literally public transport in Edinburgh. Yay. Cheaper fares. Always a good thing. So there quite possibly could be a left-wing vote to kind of split up here, but we can do electoral pacts with the SNP, obviously. I'd want constituency Greens. But there is no left-wing party just now in England, because Labour are literally not left anymore, they're centrists. As Gemma, it's a little bit different here, unfortunately. For us to actually get a lot better, we need some form of left-wing party to begin with, then we can progress from there, let's put it that way. So if we get more Green MPs into that fucking cursed place, that would be good. There is a Green peer. We will need to deal with the other place first. We're not like you, it's not the House of Review here. They review everything, all the legislation gets put to the other place, but none of them are fucking voted. They get appointed by fucking whatever government's in place when they leave, and there's the birthdays honours that the monarch, the head of state, does as well, so none of them are voted in. So we need to deal with the other place and make it more like your model in Australia. I'm loath to try and do that at the minute. Sorry, Gemma. Like I say, there's things that we can be doing that we can to actually help progress the left-wing narrative here in the UK. That is growing, trust me. It is now. There is no left-wing vote to split Oliver. Don't know how many times we're going to have to say it in different ways to them that there is Labour are not left anymore. They were barely left to begin with. Don't get me wrong, we had the welfare state what Attlee done after the war, which was good. Set up the NHS, the benefits essentially, welfare, so social security. And lots of other things. We publicly owned lots of things, fucking hundreds of thousands or maybe millions? Hundreds of thousands of council houses got built because literally we got bombed back to the fucking Stone Age, essentially, in some places. Yeah. It is getting rather frustrating and tiring speaking to these fucking liberal idiots. Then trying to talk to disingenuous fucking politicians. Holy fuck, it's never ending.
As an idealist philosophy, not like idealism, like idealist philosophy, right? We are saying that the issue is your idea is wrong rather than the material consequence and the utility of what you're proposing is, right? My vote against the Labour Party is entirely a consequence of the materiality that we live in currently, right? Because in 2015, right, happy to vote Labour, right? Despite the fact that Ed Miliband was literally promising continuity austerity. Ed Ball's very essentially offering Osborneism light in terms of the shadow cabinet, but the election was going to be close, right? I think there is more utility in trying to prevent the potential Conservative win, given how damaging austerity was in 2015, right? But there's no reason to do that when Starmer is 20 points ahead in the polls. No reason whatsoever to just vote for him because for the risk of there being some kind of splitting the vote on the left, because it's not happening. He's already winning the votes of Conservatives by pandering to them with Conservative policy, Conservative narratives, and Conservative rhetoric.
We have.
Well, I don't see the left suddenly running to the Green Party either.
To be fair, they've doubled their position in the polls, right? They used to poll on 3%, they're now around 7 or 8%, which is not a huge amount, but it's only slightly shy of where UKIP were to influence the policy platforms of the Conservative Party in 2015 , right? And
that is the barely they've ever done. This happens every single time. After the local election.
That's happening here in Glasgow, by the way, and across different parts of the UK. Mutual aid is happening. It works. Being able to help people is always a good thing, obviously. I'd love to go out and help, I really would, but my health prevents me. Now, if I take good care of myself, I might be able to go out and do some canvassing for the Greens. As far as I'm aware, there's no actual anarchists in Scottish Greens. Sorry, Gemma. But there's lots of eco-socialists and some Marxists and stuff. We tamp ourselves down a bit. I class myself as an eco-socialist, by the way. Screaming into the void about Tidal. Stop fucking using fossil fuels!
Oh my God, look how well the Green Party have done. Look how well they've done. Surely this time we'll get another MP. But no, they never do. They are not a serious threat. They are not UKIP.
They're not now, but they might be future down the line, right? And if you just continue saying, I'm going to support Labour centrism, regardless of how they treat me in the party, they treat my ideology, and who they try and pander to with policy, right? They'll never be. They'll never be.
Exactly said that you can move Labour more to progressive policy.
Yes, by offering electoral consequences. That's literally what I've been arguing.
No, you talked about campaigning that your group said, I'm going to sort of push Labour for more.
They paid them off. Oh, fuck's sake. It's the same fucking economic policies as the fucking Tories. Christ's sake, man. Well, they're doing that for them. They're doing that now to themselves, literally. It's brilliant watching Labour going to meltdown. And his poll ratings are fucking laughable now. Seriously, he is seen as a joke and someone who's doing cruel policies now. to know that I doubt the Labour Party are going to win the next general election. It's either going to be what I'll class as like a rainbow House of Commons. Hopefully, the Green Party in the general election last year, July the 4th, fucking hilarious. Greens in England and Wales finished second in 39 constituencies. So hopefully, quite a lot of them are Labour and a few of them are Tory, obviously. So that's I see that as a good thing. And Zach's openly said that he's a socialist. He was a former Lib Dem, but he is talking the talk and walking the walk. So hopefully he will win. He is also an eco-socialist. Thank you. Yay! Well done, Radelaide. That's fucking awesome, Gemma. Great to hear that. Giving the Liberals and Nationals and the fucking the ALP what for, showing how it's done. Good for you. Yay. It works a little bit differently up here. In UK wide. We need to start building bigger coalitions, bigger party movements, shit like that. Then we might be able to tack a little bit more left. Give us a few years for that, please. Because at some point, there's not going to be many boomers left. And that's the ones who keep on voting for these neoliberal parties, unfortunately. So everyone over the age of 50, Super Hubby won't. That's why he keeps on voting this. He keeps voting SNP because he doesn't like unionism. He wants Scotland to be independent. So do I. And so do the Scottish Greens. Fucking bring it. And like I say, Scotland's more progressive than the rest of the UK. So if we get our independence, there'll be a big groundswell of more left-wing movements. I believe, at least in my hope it does. Plus there's people like me to actually campaign for it. And if we do get our independence, we'll ramp everything up essentially. So we can actually get a more progressive society here in Scotland and forget about Westminster, because apart from, oh no, Scotland went back and voted Labour. Boo. And I said this to family members and stuff across Scotland. Didn't trust them. It's just going to be the same as the fucking Tories. I said, no, it won't. He'll be fine. He'll take good care of us. No, he won't. And he hasn't. They've all been apologising to me since the election. Sorry, Katie, why didn't we listen to you? I get treated like a political Cassandra at times. What are you going to do? Christ, you still have trotts. There's no many of them left. Quite a lot of them were boomers. A lot of them did perish in the pandemic. 6 of them here in Glasgow that were former colleagues of mine, former comrades. I used to be a trot, by the way. 6 of them. 1 of them from his alcoholism, but the other 5, COVID took them. Because they were all over 60, these people. I was the youngest in my local collective, if you wish. I was 16 when I became a trot. My comparative religions teacher, he was an ML, so classic Marxist essentially. Oh, for Christ's sake. It didn't fucking work. That's the reason that there's hardly any fucking trots here in the UK. I've got the anarchist cookbook. I bought as a joke gift for Super Hubby. He's read it many times in the past, and I thought, may as well get a fucking copy for the household. A lot. It's very American centric, unfortunately, obviously. But it is always good. There's still good shit in the anarchist cookbook, obviously. Well, that's what happens with Trotskyists, unfortunately. I know from personal experience. I'm glad I'm just a classic Marxist, essentially, at the end of the day. And I've literally been saying this shit since I was 21. Just fucking listen to me. At least my family's starting to come round to my way of thinking. Very happy about that. I'll call him brother-in-law just for ease. So this is my younger sister's partner. He used to be a Tory voter. But I've managed to move him to Labour. At least that's fucking something. It's inconsequential in Perth. It's been SNP since 92 essentially. In Perth, back up the road. And Glasgow, was it? It was Labour for fucking 60s, I think. Before that, parts of Glasgow were Tory. It was a majority Tory city for fucking the first sort of 30 years of the 20th century. Thank God I wasn't alive. But from like the mid-60s onwards, Glasgow's literally voted for Labour until we got fucking fed up. Said, no, you're not fucking helping us. Piss off. And went to SNP. 2017? Yeah, 2017. So after Brexit, after they fucked us over. Don't get me wrong, I voted to remain because I didn't want the Tory party in charge of it. Case in point. Just look at the country. Fucking economic basket case. The revolutionary bloodbath is a major bone of contention with me. Yeah, you knew that. That's why I got rescued by my best friend who introduced me to Super Hubby. He said I need to rescue this girl from them. He's the same age as me, by the way. And he rescued me from them. And 2 of them refused to talk to me after that, but the other ones, they were fine. Okay, that's good. As long as we can still talk to you. Of course you can. But the other 2 were literal trots. They'd been Trotskyists since like probably about the 60s actually, when they were in their late teens to early 20s. And one of them would have been 21 or 22. Yeah, one of them was born just after the war. So no, they both would have been in their 20s at this point. They're gone now. So yeah, I got rescued. That's the problem with some trots. They literally want a bloodbath, and that's not good for anyone. Doing mutual aid, doing groundwork is a lot better. Plus you reach more people and you can talk to them about your way of thinking, your political ideology, which is always good. Get more people on your side. Don't fucking slaughter them. Why there's lots of police states across Western world. Delightful. It's like I've been saying, it's different here, unfortunately, Gemma. Trust me, lots of us are fucking working on changing that. Because yeah, can't just no, we can't trust them. Or they say what they're going to do, which no matter how fucking bad it is. And people like me who have literally been left out in the cold, not literally, but literally they didn't give a fuck about people like me. So no, fuck yes. I am not voting for any of yous. So I've changed to the Greens. Sorry SNP, you've lost me now. I do apologise. But most of my family are SNP voters. I can't remember. She left now. I told her. She was paying my Labour dues, by the way. And when was this? When Corbyn basically got ousted, I said to her, just stop paying my dues if you want. She kept it up for until 2022, I believe. Then she said, okay, because none of the people who were coming up in party votes, I didn't like them. And I said as much to her, and she said, that's fine. If you feel you can't vote for any of them, that's fine. I'll stop paying the dues. And say that you've left the party for ideological reasons, not monetary ones. Thank you, sister. Much appreciated. She was quite happy when I told her that I joined the Greens. and I'm a Nico socialist, but she's still in the Labour Party. Sorry, darling. She's slowly watching the country go to shit. Again, delightful. Hopefully she'll come round and maybe join the Greens as well before 2029. I think it's a bit too late for her to join the Greens before Holyrood. Plus she's got a lot of other things on her plate to deal with. It's only £6 a year, for fuck's sake.
Progressive policy on the steel industry. They have done that.
By not internally, externally through electoral consequences.
No, they weren't a party. They were not a party. The union is not an electoral force.
They're not an electoral force, but they were threatening Labour on losing votes in steel constituencies by making it a key issue that if they didn't support, they would lose votes to somebody who would support it, right? That is still an electoral consequence being campaigned on from outside.
They managed to move the party over to that. They weren't saying, go vote for someone else. They were saying...
But if they were saying that this party doesn't support you, and the result of that would be electoral consequences, right? They weren't saying vote for somebody else explicitly, right? It's because they're a union, not a political party. But they were saying that this party doesn't support your interests, which if it's important for these people in this constituency and wasn't be supported by Labour, would lead to electoral consequences. People would move away from Labour if this isn't the party of the steel industry. If they're a single issue voter and some other party was coming and offering it, right? Do you see what I mean?
But the Green Party isn't a single issue party. It's to be honest.
But it's a broader issue of left wing fiscal policy rather than specifically the steel industry. But it's the same principle.
Yeah, no. The idea that the Green Party is going to become some sort of UKIP and pull a UKIP Brexit type coup. No, that's fantasy. That is a genuine
now. But it was fantasy. It was fantasy for Keir Hardie when he was polling at 2% in the early 1900s, right? That was fantasy for the Labour movement, and then because people believed in what they were offering and believed in the policy platforms being put forward, they grew in the movement.
The Labour Party to more progressive policies by focusing on the Labour rather than focusing on a party that will not win, not get any MPs, and will never come higher than fourth.
They will only never come higher than fourth if you continue to cuck yourself out for a centrist Labour Party. I don't know how many times I can say this because you're not offering them anything that meets their material interests by consistently saying you're going to vote for them regardless of what they say to you. I'm sorry, I don't know how I can explain this in more simple terms.
Well, you're not explaining how somehow the Greens are going to sort of becoming a serious electoral force to get enough votes to force Labour to change.
This is going to take campaigning, which I am doing. This is literally what my channel is, right? I literally use my channel to talk about... I was literally on Novara Media yesterday, a channel with 600,000 subscribers, almost 600,000 subscribers, talking about why I believe people should vote for the Green Party for this specific reason, right?
And not exactly the biggest fans of Labour at the moment.
No, of course they're not. Why would they be? Like, I'm not a fan of the Labour Party. I'm a leftist.
Imagine if they actually were, and sort of maybe pushed, more.
Fuck's sake! How do we get through to you? We can't do that. We can't. They've literally purged all the leftists out of the party. Apart from the ones who've been, there's very few socialists or left-leaning Labour Party members in the PLP, Parliamentary Labour Party, by the way. In the PLP, there's a few, less than 20, I believe, and they're slowly fucking purging them. The main one that I can think of at this point is Ian Lavery, and he'll probably come a cropper as well. They'll probably get rid of him. I'm actively yelling into my screen at times, saying just fucking leave. You're going to get purged at some point, Lavery. Just cross the chamber and go and sit with your pals Corbyn and fucking Trickett. Mark my words. What's this? Monday the 28th of July 2025. At some point before the general election, Ian Lavery will get purged. He'll go against the party line and some sort of fucked up legislation they want to bring through, and he'll get fucking booted. Mark my words. And if it doesn't happen before the general election, you can call me out on it.
people in Labour to sort of support progressive causes and to sort of campaign within the Labour Party to support more progressive causes.
I mean, they did that and they got rebuked, right? Or they got expelled from the party for being too left-wing. They voted for Keir Starmer on the promise of those policies, and he just completely gave up on them.
I've so far agreed with you a lot of these left-wing policies. Why haven't I been expelled from the Labour Party? If left-wing people are getting expelled left, right, and centre from the Labour Party, why haven't I been expelled?
I'm not sure why. It's not specifically some people do it, some people that don't, right? But it's very clear that people of certain dispositions within the party are not welcome within it, right? And even so, even if they don't get expelled, do they get listened to? Is any of their policies being put forward? And we've seen from the rhetoric that the party conference means nothing.
You've given a good example of how you can move Labour. So
Externally.
why is there
What
no
the fuck, man?
left-wing platform that's building support within the Labour Party? Because there are plenty of groups in the Labour Party that are building support, that are working with Labour MPs to build support,
These
get
people
policy
have
on the books
been purged.
to move forward for
They
that.
don't exist
That
anymore.
is
They've
more
been
effective to
fucking
build
booted out of the
movements.
party.
I mean, Momentum
that's
is
what
technically
Momentum
still
failed.
there, still
Moved to
doing
the
what they're
fucking
doing.
right.
Are they getting very far? Not really.
I think they are. I think they're getting more further than you're giving them credit for.
I mean, maybe I'm happy to be proven wrong on this, but I'm looking at every single policy that's being proposed, and I'm not seeing it reflected in the potential future manifesto.
Well, we'll see what happens when the manifesto comes out. I
mean-
think it's going to be quite a good manifesto. I think it's going to be more progressive than I think people think it is.
I'm happy to be proven wrong. I'm happy to be
Spoiler,
proven wrong. I would
Helena
welcome
is
being
proven
proven wrong.
correct.
I don't want the Labour Party to suck. I don't want West Streeting being talking about the introducing more of private
Obviously, I
sector.
see
in
that
the
in
NHS.
hindsight,
I don't
because
want
we're
this,
a year
right?
after
I would
the
much rather have a Labour Party
election.
that didn't have this stuff. I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to see progressive policy reflected in the Labour
said,
Party
Helena,
manifesto.
you are correct.
But every logical part of my brain is telling me that that's just something that will never happen, given the material interests of the people who have control over the levers of what policy looks like.
I constantly hear from the left that, but I'm also hearing people not willing to put the hard work in to go and campaign, to go do the sacrificing that is needed necessary
Not from
to
within.
go and affect
No,
a lot
not
of those
from
changes.
within.
I mean,
It can be done, but it's going to take a lot of work.
the evidence
And I
I've
think
seen
the
of
only
this.
effective way you do that is within the Labour Party.
I mean, the evidence I've seen of this is when the potential for that happened. We literally the whole reason why we're here, the video that was put out, we've seen that in the case in which the people who made those campaigns, who tried to push that policy, when they had the chance of having somebody be put into power who supported those policies, we have somebody from the electoral caucus within that party who disagrees with them, saying she'd bring down the government, and if that was something that would happen, right? Margaret Hodge literally
one
said,
person.
I would try and bring down the government. And
One person.
I mean, that's one person openly saying that thing specifically, but we also had
You've got
all of the
several that
evidence.
have been in the past couple of days in the Tory party.
The Tory party are also shit for this as well. The Tory party Tory party don't listen to their members either. That's also something that's true. But we also have all of the leaking of things to the press about anti-Semitism, which was explained in the Ford report. We have the Ergen House Room, where they literally misappropriated funds towards their candidates rather than left-wing candidates. We already have things like people getting trot hunted by Labour HQ. We know all of these things were happening internally within the party to try and kneecap the left, not over reasons of pragmatism, but over reasons of factionalism. We already know the text between.
Ding, 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 ding. Emily Oldknow. Jonathan Ashworth's wife. Ha. He lost his seat. Him and a Tory MP who got voted out, Penny Mordaunt, are starting a podcast. No, another one. Holy fuck. I will not be listening to it. I do not like Penny Mordaunt. Obviously, because she's a fucking Tory. And Jonathan Ashworth losing his seat and still being put on their fucking screens. You got voted out, mate. Fuck off.
Between people like Emily Oldknow and Ian McNichol, all of these people who were involved in the Chakrabarti report, in all of the leaked messages. We know the attitude these people have to people who do want progressive change in the party, right? And to the point at which they are upset at the 2017 result being surprisingly positive. Not a win, but they were upset the potential that Jeremy Corbyn or his wing of the party, those kind of policies, would continue to be the the mainstay of Labour policy. And that wasn't because they were doing badly, but
And
because
you know
they were
what I'm
doing
hearing
well.
again? We did it once and we can't do it again because just too hard. Let's just pack up, go home, and maybe we'll support the Green Party, which won't work.
I mean, I said, again, literally, if there were mechanisms within the party internally to see those things change, I'd support it. But those avenues have all been shut down, and explicitly shut down for this reason as well, right? There's a reason why Starmer was trying to get it changed to an electoral college rather than one person, one vote for the leadership of the party.
Yeah, it failed.
There's a reason why they're interfering with parliamentary candidate selection, and it's to try and stop these things from happening.
And I don't think they've really succeeded that well. There are left-wing candidates in Labour that I think are going to do some very good jobs. I think you've got Oliver Coppard in Sheffield Mayor for South Yorkshire. He's very left-wing.
The mayor, sorry. I mean, the mayor. I mean, I've had pretty good relationship with the Labour mayors. In fact, the Labour mayors have been the good thing about the Labour Party. I've been open on my channel about the need to support Sadiq Khan. Obviously, you look at, if we're going to talk about mayors, why we're not talking about Jamie Driscoll, for example, somebody who's not even particularly left-wing, right? But somebody who supported the previous iteration of the Labour Party was expunged for something.
I was hiding my super hubby. He doesn't want to be seen.
Who has said pretty racist things on Twitter, Kim McGuinness. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about with people who don't even support necessarily like the far left, quote unquote, but somebody who supported like the kind of localism that we both support in Preston being removed because he's too left wing. That was it, right? And not even somebody particularly left wing either.
I disagree. I think there are a lot more progressive people in Labour than you give credit for. I really do. And I think we're going to have a very good parliament next time. I really do. I think we're going to have a very progressive parliament. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised. And to be honest, I think you'd far better spend your time working within the Labour Party to sort of get these changes effective, because the only way you're going to affect these changes is if you work within the Labour Party. Because I've been talking with people who are campaigners within the Labour Party, like Movement Forward, who have had good success conversing with MPs, getting meetings with the Labour Party. You're telling me this is impossible. I know people who are saying it's not, and it's doable.
Yeah, and yet we still have even people.
I've got a very different experience to you on that.
I mean, even the people who represent our section of the party, like Angela Rayner, who we both agree is somebody who we have, at least some amount of respect for. Even she won't support proportional representation, which is what the Movement Forward are there to try and do, to try and push for PR.
We need more pro-Labour PR MPs in. That's another thing we need, more pro-Labour MPs. We need to really start changing minds. And I think it's not Westminster we go after first, it's the House of Lords we go after first.
I mean, I agree. We all want House of Lords reform. I think that's something that basically every single person in the country agrees on at this point, because it's so horrendously anti-democratic. I think that's true. I think that is true. But there's two problems I have. First of all, is that again, what's going to stop the current, Politburo at the top of the party stopping our progressive MPs being put onto selection ballots when they support PR? And second of all, even if they do, why would anybody who leads the Labour Party support proportional representation when it's not within their material interests to do so? Just like how Blair literally had it in the manifesto in '97 and promised to change to PR and then never did it. Why? Because it wasn't in his material interests.
This is why you've got to have movements. This is why you've got to have movements that do this thing, that support, that support these things, that talk about this. If you don't have these movements, and I'm not going to lie, there's not a lot in the UK. There's not a lot of left-wing movements in the UK that
it gets
really
voted on at conference every single time, and it's never been policy since '97 when it was policy and then was never implemented.
You've got to keep that hard work.
And continue to get rebuked by leadership who will tell you it's not in the material interest of the party, because it's not in the material interest of the party. Not even my preferred leadership supported PR.
You've got to convince them.
Did you not hear Helena there? They've been trying to get PR done at conference for years, for decades now, and they've never went for it. Literally, some of the policies that Blair had in his manifesto for '97, he went back on them. And that's one of the reasons I regretted voting for Labour. I actually believed he was going to do fucking, I say reform, getting rid of the Lords. Should have been fucking done already. And getting rid of the monarchy. Republican, by the way. Deeply, deeply undemocratic that we don't get to vote for our second chamber. Just, what the fuck? It's the 21st century, get rid of it. Every conference. That's changed now. They will never get rid of the Lords. They will never do electoral reform. They'll never bring in PR. It would put their majorities at risk. So no party now on the Westminster stage essentially will bring in PR. Thanks fucking Lib Dems. The alternative vote was the fucking worst one out of the lot of them. No one, none of them are going to do electoral reform like that. None of them. I'm so sick of yelling this, telling you all they will never fucking do it. None of them. Just fucking listen to me. That's why we need more fucking progressive parties in the House of Commons, so we can force them to at least change to PR.
It is. That's the whole point of
But it
politics.
isn't.
It
will never be unless Labour are like
The hard
20%
work
of
was
the
done,
polls.
we
They're
still
never
never
going
get
to
fucking
materialise.
listened to.
You've got to put the hard work in to do it.
Well, literally, first past the post is exactly why we're having this conversation, where you are literally going to vote for the Labour Party regardless of what happens, right? Yeah. Regardless of how right-wing they go, you'd still vote for the Labour Party, and it's because of first past the post, and that is their literal material interest and why they won't support electoral reform.
The Labour Party is not that far right-wing. I
the
will
current leadership
disagree.
No,
is.
you're either
They
left wing
are
or you're a
left-wing
centrist.
centrist.
You're not that. What the fuck?
Best. They are
I
left-wing
think-
centrist. That is where the party is at the moment.
Monetarist fiscal policy, imperialist foreign policy, and reactionary social policy is not my idea. Yeah, they support. We literally have the current leader of the party refusing to call out the war crimes of a government that our current government is supplying arms to, whilst carrying out ethnic cleansing.
They've said, Israel shouldn't be doing this.
After like 20 odd councillors resigned, except they won't say exactly what is bad. They won't call out the forced displacement of people. Like forced transfer is still a war crime. They won't call out.
They need to do that.
They just say Israel has a right to defend itself within international law, yet they continue to break international law every single day. And they just say, well, they need to have aid in, need to have a humanitarian pause. We had a humanitarian pause, and then it stopped, and the war crimes are continuing again. Starmer's position that he takes is like identical to like Anthony Blinken. Like the moment that Blinken changes his position, Starmer changes his position, right? We were essentially entirely beholden to the American foreign policy establishment on this one.
Yeah, and I think that's wrong as well. I think Europe's far more.
So it's imperialist foreign policy. Okay, thank you for agreeing with me.
Russia and Ukraine.
Do you want to shout out your socials and your channel to my chat?
Yeah. Hello, I'm Bowler Hatman. Come join me for some hopium.
We get it from Helena.
Come get the good stuff. We keep it all in Yorkshire. But yes, come join me. I'm on YouTube at Bowler Hatman. I do use Twitter occasionally. But I'm more on Threads, so come and join me on Threads. You can find me under the same username. But yeah, no, like I say, I enjoy this sort of conversation with you. I think it's good to have these types of conversation with sort of people like you. So it's good to sort of, I'm very much about reaching across the aisle and reaching out to sort of people like you. So yeah, I hope we can have a sort of a conversation like this maybe again in the future. Maybe
happy to always happy to get people on the channel again. I mean, yeah, it's reasonable. I mean, if you're in with the Labour social guys, the kind of people who I also have these kind of disagreements with, so I guess Graham is probably more open to chatting than Phil is, because I know Phil just doesn't care about people who don't share his opinion. So,
no, but yes, I'm like I say, more than happy to sort of have that sort of chat, and yeah. So yeah, no, like I say, thank you for having me, and we'll see you soon for tea.
I'll see you on the next one. Take care.
As we say up north, cheerio.
Cheerio. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for membership to just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.
No, just before my year ago. No. Oh god. Am I gonna have to go into our videos? Okay. Oh, no, videos. Bloody hell. Prolific outputter, by the way, as you can tell. Oh, it's don't vote Labour. Okay.
So it's the election tomorrow. Tomorrow, people will go to the polls to decide who is going to be the next Prime Minister. And of course, it will be Keir Starmer. The Labour Party are going to win the next election. If you've tuned into my channel, or you follow my channel, or you're just reading it for the first time, most people will know I am a progressive. I am a leftist. I am on the left of politics. And this is my plea to other progressive and left-leaning people to not vote for the Labour Party. I'll be voting for the Green Party, but this video specifically is why you should not vote for the Labour Party. You should not vote for Keir Starmer. He is going to win the election with right-wingers voting for his right-wing platform. He does not need our votes. We need to show the Labour Party they cannot rely on progressive people's votes for a platform that is in no way progressive. Not only is their platform not progressive, but Keir Starmer himself, as a politician, and the people in his shadow cabinet are not not fit to lead this country. He is not fit to be Prime Minister. What I'm going to do in this video is try and explain to you exactly why Keir Starmer is not fit to be Prime Minister. The first thing that we have to talk about with Keir Starmer is that he lies. He lies constantly. He lies maliciously with complete impunity. He had 10 pledges and he broke all of them. He lies about everything he believes in and he supports. He lied about trying to unify the Labour Party and he kicked out everybody who disagreed. He even told people he would end the factional war and try and unite the party. That was a lie. He said he wouldn't impose candidates from the NEC. That was a total lie as well. When it comes to the pledges, they've all been scrapped. They were all lies as well. Nationalising mail, energy and water. Getting rid of tuition fees, freedom of movement as we leave the European Union, increasing the taxes on the top 5% of earners, abolishing the House of Lords. Pledge after pledge after pledge has been laid by the wayside, all gone on the cutting room floor, and there's nothing left. It was all a pack of lies and a deliberate set of lies to hoodwink the Labour membership into voting for him so he could then purge them afterwards. There were nothing but lies. Don't try and tell me there's about the changing economic situation. There's no reason why the economy is in such a way that we can't increase taxes on the rich. But there was another promise that he deliberately broke, because the man is a liar, and you should not trust him, and that fact alone should be enough to think him unfit to be Prime Minister. That fact alone should make him unfit to be Prime Minister. We just ejected Boris Johnson for being a serial liar, for being a compulsive liar. He wasn't fit for office because he lied with complete impunity. Why should anything be different because of Keir Starmer? Keir Starmer is a Conservative. He admits it as such. He said he was proud to be called a Conservative, and that if people called him one, he didn't care. He said that Labour Party represented true conservatism that the Conservative Party has abandoned. People like Anna Soubry have described the Labour Party as adopting her one nation conservative values. He has turned the Labour Party into a right-wing, monetarist, authoritarian, transphobic and racist party of capital. And what is part of that is they are promising 5 more years of austerity, privatisation and policy for big business. They have promised to increase levels of privatisation in our NHS by selling bits off and having more money being pumped into private provision of healthcare, allowing BlackRock to control our infrastructure with more PFI deals, PFI 2.0, on far more steroids that Blair ever did on. He's taking bungs from the super rich personally, and he is not raising any of their taxes. No wealth taxes, increasing capital gains tax, nothing like that is in the manifesto. So you should not vote for it. They have become the party of capital. They've embedded their cabinet and their PPCs with lobbyists for private water, private equity, private finance, all number of think tanks and people with links to dark money. They have happily gotten businesses round the table to set policy. They described when they went to the banks saying that our manifesto has your fingerprints all over it. Rachel Reeves supported the Edinburgh reforms that cut liquidity requirements for private insurers by up to 60%, allowing them to gamble further with our money and lose at a time at which the need for insurance is much higher because of the greater risk of natural disaster. That is because they have links to so many people who are representing capital rather than representing Labour. Labour are an anti-trans party. Labour are explicitly transphobic party. What they are offering is a Section 28 on trans people. Keir Starmer said he wanted to not have gender ideology taught in schools. They are making it harder for people to transition. They are also, on top of that, wanting to make it harder for people to get a gender recognition certificate by increasing the time that you need to have gone through after applying for one for it to be able to go through. They have also kept transphobic people within their party, continually referring to them as people who are important members of the party. They have said transphobic things on camera. Wes Streeting has done that, gone off to Julie Hartley-Brewer and people from The Sun saying that he doesn't think trans women are women. And that's the person going to be in charge of trans people's healthcare. If you value the transgender community, if you value the LGBT community at large, you should not vote for the Labour Party. The Labour Party is an institutionally racist party. They purge candidates that speak up about racism, like Faiza Shaheen. They get rid of Jewish members from the party who say things that are outside of their line on the Israel-Palestine conflict. They threatened to gag Martin Ford, who was a lawyer who they hired to investigate what was going on with racism internally within the party. They threatened to gag him because he was too critical about how they dealt with Islamophobia and anti-black racism within the Labour Party. If you care about minority communities in this country, you should not vote for the Labour Party. Labour are internally corrupt. Labour himself and his leadership team, Labour Together, are funded by investment bankers, hedge funders, and lobbyists for foreign countries. Their donations have breached the Electoral Commission's laws on private donations. Starmer himself has accepted more private gifts than any Labour leader in decades. Rachel Reeves took a donation from a climate denier the week before they scrapped their pledge to investigate $28 billion in green power. And on top of that, they have happy to have people like PricewaterhouseCoopers and private consultancies staff their offices for free which again means they are getting return on investment from that extra money that's been pumped in and from those free secondments they've gotten from people like PricewaterhouseCoopers. Starmer said, and I quote, that Israel has that right to restrict water, food and fuel to the Palestinians in Gaza. He did this 3 times and even sent out Emily Thornberry to repeat it again on Newsnight before U-turning. He whipped Labour MPs to oppose a vote on a ceasefire in Parliament. He reportedly nobbled Lindsay Hoyle in the back, the Speaker himself, into being able to kneecap the SNP tabled ceasefire motion. This man has betrayed the Labour Party's commitment to Palestine, and any amount of U-turning he does now that he's seen Muslim communities and communities that care about the issues in Palestine, that is done in bad faith to try and win these people back. Not his genuine position was the one that he took initially after what happened in October. And he rejected a ceasefire for months and months and months and months and months until he realised there was political capital in assessing to one. If you care about Palestine, you should not vote Labour. Labour will open the door to NHS privatisation. Shadow Health Secretary Wes Streeting promised to go further than Tony Blair in letting the private sector into the NHS, but have the same NHS plans essentially as Reform UK, which is to spend public money trying to say that they will use the private sector to bring down waiting lists, when there is no extra spare private sector capacity in this country. There is no spare private sector capacity because it's all NHS staff doing overtime in the private sector. It is all NHS facilities being used by the private sector. There is very, very little extra spare private sector capacity. When Streeting tells you that there is, this is not true. Wes Streeting himself has received hundreds of thousands of pounds in donations with people with links to private healthcare investments. They're even running a private healthcare multi-millionaire in Islington North against Jeremy Corbyn. If you care about the NHS, you should not vote Labour. Labour has betrayed young people by scrapping climate commitments such as their green investment plans, U-turning on the licensing for the Rosebank oil field, and lying about their plans for a publicly owned energy company when GB Energy is just an investment fund to de-risk money in the private sector. They have happily had climate deniers in lists of candidates for MPs for the next election. If you care about the climate, do not vote for the Labour Party. Labour has abandoned the trade unions by banning MPs from showing solidarity on picket lines. Sam Tarry got sacked for this, by the way, by watering down their workers' rights plans after being lobbied by the businesses and specifically the head of the CBI, whilst having a policy researcher for the CBI as an MP Keir Mather that is. They have also refused to back junior doctors' pay restoration and have undermined the rail strikes. If you care about the trade union movement, you should not vote for the Labour Party. Labour will not lift the 2-child benefit cap, keeping 500,000 children in poverty. This will keep the scandal of universal credit and will the Tories' vile sanctions regime. It will also keep the lifting of the cap on bankers' bonuses. Labour is for bankers, unfortunately, but not for children. If you care about child poverty, you should not vote for the Labour Party. Labour are happy to have multiple Tory MPs in their ranks. One of them described Labour as a bunch of C-words and went after that, and has also joined plenty of other. They are all welcome in Starmer's Labour Party, yet Jeremy Corbyn is not. Labour are still seeking advice from Peter Mandelson as well, by the way, so that probably doesn't need much explanation. Sam was a member of the Trilateral Commission. He has friends in the Britain America Project. The CPS destroyed his records of meeting with the United States around the extradition of Julian Assange. As DPP, he got people deported for stealing ice cream. He's nasty, he's vindictive, and he is an authoritarian who is in the pockets of the powerful. The Labour Party are now funded by billionaires rather than normal people. The trade unions have had to drop funding due to their internal betrayals. Hundreds of thousands of members have left or have been kicked out. Do you think these billionaires are now donating to the Labour Party for nothing, or are they expecting return on investment? If you value democratic politics and democratic participation and people-powered politics, you should not vote for the Labour Party. Keir Starmer betrayed the people of Liverpool by writing in The Sun. He is endorsed by the Murdoch-backed Times. He is also backed by the right-wing Economist magazine as well as the Financial Times. If you value the people of Liverpool and Merseyside and justice for the 97, you should not vote for the Labour Party. Tomorrow, the Tories will be toast. Labour are 20 points ahead in the polls and they are definitely going to win the election. Do you really need to abandon all of the things that you believe in just to replace the Tories with Tories in red ties? They don't need your vote to gain a huge majority, and if you do vote for them to gain a huge majority whilst rejecting all of those principles, you will give them an even bigger mandate to carry out their right-wing platform that you and I both don't support based on all of the things I've listed out today. There is no reason to give them that continual mandate, to let them know they can do whatever they want by moving to the right and still rely on your vote. Luckily for all of us though, hope has a new home. Hope has a new home today, chat. The Green Party have pledges to tax the rich, to treat migrants and trans people with respect, to invest in people and planet, to protect the NHS from privatisation, and to put more money into it by taking the taxes from the rich and putting it into new capacity and better wages for doctors. They will take control of our water industry, end the scandal of sewage dumping by bringing the water back into public control. Better wages, better trade union rights, funding for cooperative ownership and community wealth building, an ending of arms sales to Israel, and indeed holding Israeli politicians to account with sanctions. It is a party funded by people, not profit, by being properly member-led and democratically driven. Now that is real hope and real change. If you, like me, are a progressive who wants progressive policy, who wants to help the poorest in society, be a force for international peace and justice, please back me by joining and voting for the Green Party in the election tomorrow. A massive majority, a huge majority, will not make Labour any less sheepish. The Green Party MPs, how many that we get, hopefully as much as 4, they will be there to hold Labour to account in Parliament. Who else do you want holding them to account? Reform UK, the Conservative Party, only the Green Party can hold Labour to account from the left. So if you want to see that in Parliament, you have to vote for it. So please vote Green on July the 4th, and we can build a future with real hope and real change.
Okay, I've been going for over 3 hours now, and it's fucking hell, it's coming up on 3:30. I think I will read out. Let's see who I can find for us. Thank you, Helena. That was brilliant. Oh, is Raptor still going? Let's go and say hi to Raptor. Raptor, Maple Takes, Black Katie, Segway, Yala Yasmin, Cinemarxism, Rhizome, Christina, Dead Domain, Glottal, Amy. Great. How long has he been going? Four hours.
All right, so Daydream's on the way in. Bean is going to be joining us soon. I don't know how soon, but soon. They told me 5 to 10 minutes, and that was 5 to 10 minutes ago. So I'm going to use the restroom, and I'm going to make sure everything's set up for dinner. I will be right back.
Thank you, everyone. It has been a blast going over what Bowler Hat Man said last year. Plus that one from Helena that we just watched. That one is me. Thank you. Stay hydrated.
Always worth
Self-care, take your meds.
So let me think